tinggal Bapak atur aja itu turunkan ke bawah. Itu kan laptopnya biar agak pas, Pak. Nah.
Itu saya sudah muncul ya.
Ya, Pak. Udah pas, Pak. Udah bagus.
Bos,
Ikut tes itu udah.
oh iya.
PNS.
Buat kemarin tesnya.
Oh, hari ini sama kemarin.
Katanya kemarin soalnya.
Iya.
Assalamualaikum Pak De.
Waalaikumsalam.
Apik kabarnya Pak De?
Ya, sehat-sehat.
Amin.
Lah,
Udah di-share ke grup mahasiswa.
Pak De,
Oh,
nanti Pak De di Kesling buat juga seminar Kesling Pak De.
nah,
Ya.
udah ada jadwalnya.
Sip, bagus. Setuju Pak De.
Ya, baik nasional maupun internasional.
Waduh, alhamdulillah. Syukur Pak De.
Kan memang sudah diplot masing-masing jurusan itu.
Cocok. Apik banget. Oke.
Ya, tapi biasanya kita nggak lepas dari Prof. Dr. Sumantri itulah.
Ya.
Langsung ketua akli itu sama. Woi, Sandy orang bule ya, Sandy ini. Bule belopotan ini. Bule tapi hitam manis.
Ininya bukanya gimana, Mas?
Zoom.
Zoomnya?
Pak Zulmi, minta tolong Sandi dijadikan co-host.
Oh, siap Andra. Siap. Untuk YouTube-nya udah ready langsung dari Zoom aja ya Pak Andra ya,
Iya, siap.
biar nggak ada kendala.
Oke. Kemudian
Ini
untuk
sudah,
ya, yang jadi co-host itu ada Sandi, kemudian Pak Tony, Lucy, sama Pro Barba nanti. Ya, makasih Pak.
oh iya ya, siap Andra. Pak Andra,
Ya Pak.
izin nanti hostnya kami serahkan beberapa jam ya.
Oke, siap.
Nah,
Ya Bu Lucy, kebidanan
link
Bengkulu.
YouTube-nya sudah kirim ke grup ya Pak Andra.
Oke, siap. Siap Pak.
Ini mau record by komputer apa by cloud aja?
Cloud aja Pak.
Oh
By
iya,
cloud aja.
biar nggak putus-putus ya.
Iya Pak.
Oke, siap, record di cloud.
Itu Bu Lucy, kebidanan Bengkulu, tolong dijadikan, mungkin rename dulu nama Bu Lucy ya. Speaker Lucy gitu. Pak Tony juga mungkin. Biar kita gampang nanti di depannya speakers gitu. Komite. Buat like dulu ya Suci. Nanti dulu ya.
Suci, suara saya terdengar? Yes, tes.
Yes, clearly. Good morning to all participants in this virtual room. our event will be start at 8 o'clock, and now we will wait for the other participants and the keynote speakers. And please don't forget to remind your friends to join in the Zoom, to all the students. Thank you.
Pak Tony mungkin bisa mengingatkan kembali speakers Pak Tony. Mungkin bisa di Japri atau gimana dengan ya Pak.
Tapi Prof ini, halo, Prof Hasma itu kan pembicara ketiga ya. Tapi dia udah janji kemarin dia akan masuk lebih awal.
Iya, iya Pak. Prof Barba juga belum join Pak.
Ya, belum. Mas Andra,
Pak.
Schedule Prof Barba itu pas jam 9 ya, waktu kita.
Ya, ya Pak. Jadi Prof Barba kita mulai dengan pada pukul 9, jadi 8.45 jam 7.30 sampai 8.45 itu registrasi. 8.45 kita mulai open speech by director. Jam 9 dia masuk materi Pak.
Oke, saya telepon langsung ya.
Ya.
Jam berapa lek mulai ini, Dr. Tony?
Kegiatannya akan mulai pukul 8.45 Pak untuk opening ceremony. Sekarang kita masih menunggu peserta lain untuk bergabung. Dan keynote speaker yang dari Malaysia sama Philippine juga masih ditunggu untuk bergabung, Pak.
Oke.
Oke, thank you.
Thank you, very good. Satu-satu, Bang.
Pak De Mualim.
Halo, Bos.
Pak De,
Ya,
teman-temannya mana Pak De, teman-teman Kesling?
ini kita kita pakai proyektor nanti.
Oh, Mas Gosali mana?
Di kursi semua nanti itu. Yang penting dia pada daftar semua. Sudah registrasi semua. Iya nih.
Kena siapa tuh?
KKP ya.
KKP
Masuk itu 400 berapa? Wah itu masuk jelas.
Ini cuma 360. Itu kalau standar semua.
Iya, standarnya 350.
Hah?
Standarnya 350.
311 atau 310 standarnya?
Kalau punya Lela kemarin 350.
Standarnya.
Dia 355. Masuk selanjutnya wawancara.
Nah, ini kemarin lihat 311
Oh,
ya.
itu
Standarnya.
Bengkulu is a province in the southwest of Sumatra Island. Nature, culture, and history.
Ini. Nah, terus latar belakang bunda ini punya bunda. Buka dong.
Pembangunan suatu negara selaras pemanfaatan ilmu pengetahuan, teknologi, dan seni. Penguasaan dan pemanfaatan iptek akan dapat meningkatkan daya saing bangsa melalui pengelolaan sumber daya yang dimiliki. Memiliki peran penting dalam mendukung penguatan tridharma perguruan tinggi dalam kegiatan dan tindakan nyata untuk kepentingan penguatan daya saing bangsa serta inovasi produk. Sebagai upaya mendukung Kementerian Kesehatan untuk memperkuat kelembagaan iptek, Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu mengembangkan pusat unggulan penanggulangan stunting berbasis kesehatan ibu dan anak. Dalam pusat unggulan ini, kami menekankan intervensi penanggulangan stunting pada intervensi spesifik berbasis kesehatan ibu dan anak. Kami memfasilitasi ibu-ibu dalam mengembangkan pengetahuan agar dapat meningkatkan kualitas makanan yang dikonsumsi.
Pusat unggulan iptek Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu berkomitmen untuk mewujudkan Center of Excellence penanggulangan stunting berbasis kesehatan ibu dan anak. Kami percaya bahwa PUIPK Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu dapat mendukung pemerintah dalam upaya
Pembangunan suatu negara selaras pemanfaatan ilmu pengetahuan, teknologi, dan seni. Penguasaan dan pemanfaatan iptek akan dapat meningkatkan daya saing bangsa melalui pengelolaan sumber daya yang dimiliki secara efektif dan efisien. Pusat unggulan iptek di Poltekkes Kemenkes memiliki peran penting dalam mendukung penguatan Tridharma perguruan tinggi dalam kegiatan dan tindakan nyata untuk kepentingan mendukung Kementerian Kesehatan untuk memperkuat kelembagaan iptek. Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu mengembangkan pusat unggulan penanggulangan stunting berbasis kesehatan ibu dan anak. Dalam pusat unggulan ini, kami menekankan intervensi penanggulangan stunting pada intervensi spesifik berbasis kesehatan ibu dan anak. Kami memfasilitasi ibu-ibu dalam mengembangkan pengetahuan agar dapat meningkatkan kualitas makanan yang dikonsumsi.
Pusat unggulan iptek Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu berkomitmen untuk mewujudkan Center of Excellence penanggulangan stunting berbasis kesehatan ibu dan anak. Kami percaya bahwa PUIPK Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu dapat mendukung pemerintah dalam upaya Bengkulu dapat mendukung pemerintah dalam upaya penanggulangan stunting di Indonesia pada umumnya dan Provinsi Bengkulu pada khususnya.
Secara berkesinambungan akan melakukan berbagai program kegiatan berdasarkan ruang lingkup Center of Excellence, yaitu penanggulangan stunting berbasis kesehatan ibu dan anak, meliputi kegiatan penelitian, kegiatan pengabdian masyarakat, dan support sistem dalam mencapai rencana-rencana strategis yang ingin dicapai. Sasaran strategis yang telah dan sedang dilakukan saat ini adalah mengoptimalkan berbagai riset dari berbagai sumber dana hibah, melaksanakan rekrutmen topik-topik penelitian, serta penerapan langsung kepada pengabdian masyarakat. Optimalisasi jejaring kerjasama dalam dan luar negeri terus kami tingkatkan dalam upaya melakukan penguatan kelembagaan, baik dukungan sektor pemerintah pusat, pemerintah daerah, provinsi maupun kabupaten, dan lintas sektoral sebagai perwujudan akademisi mitra dalam meningkatkan keberhasilan intervensi sensitif dan intervensi spesifik dalam penanggulangan stunting.
Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu juga memiliki sarana dan prasarana yang menunjang kegiatan. Guest House Training Center, perpustakaan, laboratorium terpadu kebidanan, keperawatan, gizi, teknologi laboratorium medis, farmasi, kesehatan lingkungan, promosi kesehatan, laboratorium bahasa dan multimedia, serta laboratorium komputer. Memiliki kerjasama lahan praktik berupa MOU dan MOA tingkat internasional 6 institusi, yaitu Emilio Equinaldo College, Escolar University, Malacca Medical Center Malaysia, Siamio Recon, Legal University College, Purupa University Thailand. Kerjasama tingkat nasional dan lokal 145 institusi dalam negeri. Berdasarkan capaian tersebut, maka disadari akan pentingnya keberadaan suatu organisasi COE Center of Excellence atau Pusat Unggulan Iptek yang menaungi aktivitas yang berkaitan dengan upaya penanggulangan stunting berbasis kesehatan ibu dan anak. Maka diharapkan akan terjadi peningkatan ilmu pengetahuan dan teknologi serta akan menghasilkan produk penelitian yang dipublikasi pada jurnal internasional bereputasi dan nasional terakreditasi.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sehat untuk kita semua. Yang saya hormati dan saya banggakan, seluruh sivitas akademika Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu dan seluruh masyarakat Indonesia. Di era pandemi saat Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sehat untuk kita semua. Yang saya hormati dan saya banggakan, akademika Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu dan masyarakat Indonesia. Di era pandemi saat ini, teknologi, informasi, dan komunikasi merupakan hal yang sangat berperan. Teknologi informasi dan komunikasi yang bisa digunakan adalah aplikasi YouTube. YouTube merupakan aplikasi video berbasis online yang memberikan informasi sejauh saja dan lebih baik kita. Kemenkes Bengkulu berarti sedang launching channel YouTube bernama Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu. Diharapkan melalui channel ini, sivitas akademika dan seluruh masyarakat bisa mendapatkan informasi terbaru dan bermanfaat melalui channel YouTube ini. Untuk semua sivitas akademika dan sanak segalanya, jangan lupa untuk subscribe and like-nya. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Polkeslu, jaya, jaya, jaya.
That this is automated. You have to set up your form.
Ya nak duduk depan dulu sebentar. Muncul dia ini, aku biasanya langsung oke. Kalau pakai itu langsung oke. Ada suaranya. Ada suara. Udah. Backgroundnya berubah lagi. Belum pakai background tuan bukan. Berubah lagi dia. Kalau Oma pakai ini nggak lagi ikut-ikut utak-utik itu, nggak ngerti. Langsung ku oke-okein aja. Kedengeran dia.
Ladies and gentlemen, our international seminar will be start 15 minutes again. And to the audiences, please kindly turn off or mute the microphone.
Kenapa dia nggak mau yang keluar ini maksudnya? Mana?
Tadi ke suara.
Suara.
Ada. Ya udah biar pakai ini aja. Nggak perlu capek. Cuma ini backgroundnya diganti lagi.
Lagi ini
Ladies and gentlemen, today we have 4 speakers in this international seminar. Professor Corazon Barba, Emeritus Professor Corazon Barba from the University of Philippine, and then Professor Dr. Nur Hasma from University Putra Malaysia, Dr. Tony Cortes Maigoda, and Mrs. Lucy Andriani, MCAS from Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu. And our international seminar will start 10 minutes again, and please kindly turn off or mute the microphone to the audiences. Thank you.
Pembangunan suatu negara selaras pemanfaatan ilmu pengetahuan, teknologi, dan seni. Penguasaan dan pemanfaatan iptek akan dapat meningkatkan daya saing bangsa melalui pengelolaan sumber daya yang dimiliki secara efektif dan efisien. Pusat unggulan iptek di Poltekkes Kemenkes memiliki peran penting dalam mendukung penguatan Tridharma perguruan tinggi dalam kegiatan dan tindakan nyata untuk kepentingan penguatan daya saing bangsa serta inovasi produk. Sebagai upaya mendukung Kementerian Kesehatan untuk memperkuat kelembagaan iptek, Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu mengembangkan pusat unggulan penanggulangan stunting berbasis kesehatan ibu dan anak. Dalam pusat unggulan ini, kami menekankan intervensi penanggulangan stunting pada intervensi spesifik berbasis kesehatan ibu dan anak. Kami memfasilitasi ibu-ibu dalam mengembangkan pengetahuan agar dapat meningkatkan kualitas makanan yang dikonsumsi.
Pusat unggulan iptek Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu berkomitmen untuk
dari ruang intravaskular atau dalam pembuluh darah ke ekstravaskular ke luar pembuluh darah. Akibatnya plasmanya tadi mengisi ruang
bahwa UIPK Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu dapat mendukung pemerintah dalam upaya penanggulangan stunting di Indonesia pada umumnya dan Provinsi Bengkulu pada khususnya. Komitmen ini tertuang dalam pelaksanaan Tridharma perguruan tinggi yang didukung oleh 6 jurusan. Jurusan keperawatan, mengoptimalisasi kesehatan ibu dan bayi yang dapat membantu stimulasi tumbuh kembang dalam penanggulangan stunting. Jurusan kebidanan, meningkatkan kesehatan ibu hamil, bayi baru lahir, dan remaja putri dalam penanggulangan stunting. Jurusan gizi, mengembangkan potensi produk makanan untuk menjamin kesehatan dan gizi dalam penanggulangan stunting. Jurusan counseling, berupa optimalisasi penyediaan air bersih dan sarana sanitasi lingkungan dalam penanggulangan stunting. Jurusan analis kesehatan berperan aktif pada pemeriksaan tri-eliminasi dalam upaya penanggulangan stunting dan peningkatan pemanfaatan sumber daya alam dalam upaya penanggulangan stunting. Jurusan promosi kesehatan, pemberian promosi kesehatan melalui pendidikan KIE, komunikasi, edukasi, informasi.
Secara berkesinambungan akan melakukan berbagai program kegiatan berdasarkan ruang lingkup Center of Excellence, yaitu penanggulangan stunting berbasis kesehatan ibu dan anak, meliputi kegiatan penelitian, kegiatan pengabdian masyarakat, dan support system dalam mencapai rencana-rencana strategis yang ingin dicapai. Sasaran strategis yang telah dan sedang dilakukan saat ini adalah mengoptimalkan berbagai riset dari berbagai sumber dana hibah, melaksanakan rekrutmen topik-topik penelitian, serta penerapan langsung kepada pengabdian masyarakat. Optimalisasi jejaring kerjasama dalam dan luar negeri terus kami tingkatkan dalam upaya melakukan penguatan kelembagaan, baik dukungan sektor pemerintah pusat, pemerintah daerah, provinsi maupun kabupaten, dan lintas sektoral sebagai perwujudan akademisi mitra dalam meningkatkan keberhasilan intervensi sensitif dan intervensi spesifik dalam penanggulangan stunting.
Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu juga memiliki sarana dan prasarana yang menunjang kegiatan. Guest House Training Center, perpustakaan, laboratorium terpadu kebidanan, keperawatan, gizi, teknologi laboratorium medis, farmasi, kesehatan lingkungan, promosi kesehatan, laboratorium bahasa dan multimedia, serta laboratorium komputer. Memiliki kerjasama lahan praktik, berupa MOU dan MOA tingkat internasional 6 institusi, yaitu Emilio Equinaldo College, Escolar University, Malacca Medical Center Malaysia, Siameo Repcon, Legal University College, Purupa University Thailand. Kerjasama tingkat nasional dan lokal 145 institusi dalam negeri. Berdasarkan capaian tersebut, maka disadari akan pentingnya keberadaan suatu organisasi COE Center of Excellence atau Pusat Unggulan Iptek yang menaungi aktivitas yang berkaitan dengan upaya penanggulangan stunting berbasis kesehatan ibu dan anak. Maka diharapkan akan terjadi peningkatan ilmu pengetahuan dan teknologi serta akan menghasilkan produk penelitian yang dipublikasi pada jurnal internasional bereputasi dan nasional terakreditasi.
Welcome to our speakers today, Emeritus Professor Corazon Barba from University of Philippine at Los Banos. And to all participants, our event will be start very soon. So please kindly to turn off or mute the microphone during this international seminar. Thank you. Good morning, Professor Corazon Barba. Can you hear my voice? Is it clear to hear the sound? Professor
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
Can you
thank
hear
you. Yes, clearly.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I will just unmute so that it is easier.
Okay. Oh, Pak Tony dan Bunda Lucy, bisa kita mulai?
Oke, silakan.
Oke, thank you.
Mulai.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
And Good morning to all of us in this virtual room. I am glad to welcome you all to the international seminar that is held by Center of Excellence in Science and Technology of Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu under the theme Mother and Child Health Approach towards Stunting Preventions. The Honorable Director of Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu, the respectable, the speakers of international seminar, Emeritus Professor Corazon Barba from University of Philippine at Los Banos, Professor Dr. Nur Hasma Sulaiman from University Putra Malaysia that will join us very soon. And then Dr. Tony Cortis Maigoda and Mrs. Lucy Andriani Mkes from Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu. The respectable, all academicians in Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu, the distinguished guests, and all beloved participants. Ladies and gentlemen, today, the last day of September 2021, I am Suci Sartika Putri, will be your opening master of ceremony. Firstly, let us see the profile video of Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu.
Bengkulu is a province in the southwest of Sumatra Island. Nature, culture, and history become one, and it known as Bumi Rafflesia. Politeknik Kesehatan Kementerian Kesehatan Bengkulu was established on April 16, 2001. Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu is ready to be an excellent health college that provides professional health workers and lead to global in 2025. Our alumni have worked domestic and abroad that spread in Japan for 63 people, Taiwan 20 people, Saudi Arabia 2 people, and Germany 1 person. Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu is one of the excellent state health colleges in Bengkulu province. The main campus is addressed at Jalan Indragiri, number 3, Padang Harapan, Kota Bengkulu. Meanwhile, Campus B Curug is addressed at Jalan Sabta Marga, number 95, Teladan Village, Rejang Lebong Regency. Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu is equipped with the complete and modern campus facilities to support the learning process, including the training center building has more than 2,000 meter square areas with a hall that provides 500 seats and a comfortable inn. Auditorium has more than 3,000 meter square areas that provides 1,500 people that used as a multi-purpose building for both internal and external activities of Poltek lecture buildings. Integrated laboratory consists of laboratory department of nursing, midwife, nutrition, health analyst with adequate campus equipment. Campus gazebo with 128 meter square areas used for student discussion place. Tarbiyati Siham Mosque has 457 meter square areas for 500 people with an open room design. Sport facilities. Unit of language development with internet connection and 44 computers unit for computer-based tests and online TOEFL tests. A comfortable library, the selfie corner and Selayang anti-korupsi corner. Unit of Information Technology that provides computer-based tests with 145 computers unit. Home theater that is used for audiovisual learning activities to all departments. Currently, Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu has been accredited by Ban PT with predicate B, and it has 6 majors and 14 study programs that already accredited by LAMPTKes.
Percayakan pendidikan putri Anda untuk menjadi tenaga kesehatan profesional bersama Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu. Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu. Siap, kamu.
Thank you so much for watching our video, ladies and gentlemen. To see it more clearly, you can visit our YouTube on Poltergeist Kemenkes Bengkulu. And the next agenda is singing the national anthem Indonesia Raya. To the audiences, please sit on your position. Ladies and gentlemen, before we are going to the next agenda, I would like to welcome the speaker today, Professor Dr. Nur Hasmah Sulaiman from University Putra Malaysia. Welcome, Professor. And dear audiences and the respectable speakers, to make this event full of blessed, let us pray together, and it will be led by Nurse Andra Saferi Wijaya MCAP. To Mr. Andra, please.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, blessed mercy to us. Ladies and gentlemen, let us pray whole heart. I will lead the prayer in Islam. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin. Wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Allahumma ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, tiada kata dan rasa yang pantas kami haturkan kepadamu pagi hari ini, selain syukur kami padamu atas segala nikmat dan hidayah yang Engkau anugerahkan kepada kami, sehingga kami bisa hadir bersama untuk mengikuti rangkaian acara Seminar Internasional Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu. Untuk itu ya Allah, ya Rahman, ya Karim, jadikanlah acara kami hari ini sebagai acara yang Engkau ridhoi, yang membawa berkah, rahmat, taufik, dan hidayah-Mu. Ya Allah, Zat yang Maha Kuasa, kami menyadari bahwa jabatan dan kekuasaan adalah amanah. Oleh karena itu, ya Allah, ya Tuhan, tambahkanlah pada kami inovasi kerja yang baik dalam setiap pelaksanaan tugas kami. Berikanlah pada kami kesehatan, kekuatan, dan kemampuan sehingga kami mampu mengemban tugas dan tanggung jawab yang diberikan kepada kami untuk kebaikan, kemaslahatan keluarga, masyarakat, bangsa, dan negara kami. Ya Hafiz, ya Majid, Engkau yang Maha Pemelihara dan Maha Mulia, satukanlah hati kami, padukanlah langkah kami, dan tumbuhkanlah rasa persaudaraan yang tulus dan ikhlas. Peliharalah jiwa kami dalam kesucian, serta hiasilah akhlak kami dengan keteladanan. Ya Allah, pertautkanlah tali kasih di antara kami sehingga dapat menyikapi perbedaan dengan indah. Dan juga jadikanlah acara pada hari ini sebagai amal ibadah, sebagai simbol kebersamaan, kekuatan dan persatuan untuk membangun bumi pertiwi yang kami cintai berdasarkan iman dan takwa. Ya Allah, Tuhan yang Maha Pengampun, Engkau mengetahui terhadap kelemahan kami, terhadap kekurangan kami. Maka dari itu, kepadamulah kami menyembah, kepadamulah kami memohon ampun dan pertolongan, serta hanya kepadamulah kami melakukan pengabdian. Ya Allah, kabulkanlah doa dan permohonan kami. Rabbana taqabbal Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azabannar. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun, wassalamun alal mursalin, walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Thank you so much, Mr. Andra. I hope this event will full of blessing and mercy by Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Amin, amin, ya Rabbal Alamin. Ladies and gentlemen, hear the welcoming speech by the Director of Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu, Mrs. Eliana SKM MPH, and also to open this event officially.
Sudah screen.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning to all of us. Salam sehat. Your Excellency Keynote Speaker, Professor Corazon Barba from University of Philippine, Professor Dr. Nur Hasma Sulaiman from University Putra Malaysia, Dr. Tony Kopis Magoda, and Lucy Andriani, FS from Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Our gratitude and praise to the Almighty God that has made us possible together in an online international salutation be upon the most honorable Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who guide us to knowledgeable world as today. Ladies and gentlemen, stunting is one included in the second Sustainable Development Objective, that is to eradicate hunger and all kinds of malnutrition by 2030, and to achieve food security. The target is to reduce the stunting rates up to 40% by 2030. and 25. To make it real, the government decided funding as one of the priority programs. Ladies and gentlemen, Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu as a health education institution has a center of excellence in science technology. For cooperate with the government in preventing stunting in Indonesia, particularly in Bengkulu province, by held international seminar under the theme Splendid Growth, the Nutrition Perspective, Stunting Prevention, the Philippine experience solving problem in tackling stunting in Bengkulu. In pregnant to prevent of stunting. Ladies and gentlemen, let us open this international seminar by saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of my speech today. I'm sorry if there is any word or my behavior which unpleasing you all. Stay enjoy this moment and be healthy for us. Thank you. Bila taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And good morning.
Sama-sama kopo gimana ceritanya ayah saya berdoa orang berdoa aku pakai itunya jatuh langsung saya langsung lari ke bawah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I kindly remind you to turn off the microphone to make this even more.
Bisa kan? Apalagi tulisan pendidikan, Pak. Kita lah jelas. Kali tahu belum? Ayo. Nah, Taika.
Yes, and because this event is officially opened by the director of Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu, so this is the end of our opening ceremony. Thank you very much for the attention. Now, I will give the screen to the one that will lead us in this seminar today, which is our moderator today. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our moderator today, Mr. Sandi Ardiansyah, SST MS.
Okay, thank you, Suci. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi and very good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm glad to be here as a moderator in International Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu. I sincerely welcome to the keynote speakers, distinguished guests, and all the participants in International Seminar Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu. So, what we want discuss today is about the stunting. According to the publication from the Power of Nation 2020, stunting refers to low height for age, when a child is short for his or her age, but not necessarily thin. It also known as chronic malnutrition. Well, in this international seminar, we have 4 speakers, but we divide into 2 sessions. The first session, we have 2 speakers. The first speaker is Professor Corazon Ferran Cruz Barba. Professor Barba, how are you today? Good morning from Indonesia. Can you hear me?
Yes, good morning.
Oh, good to see you, Professor Barba. Okay, before her presentation, I'm going to tell you about the short CV from Professor Corazon Ferran Cruz Barba. Professor Emeritus Corazon Ferran Cruz Barba, RND PhD, is a Professor Emeritus of the Institute of Human Nutrition and Food University of Philippines, Los Banos, or UPLB, and she is a nutrition consultant of the United Nations World Food Program, Philippines. She also a scientific director of the International Life Science Institute Southeast Asia region. And she graduated from Bachelor of Science in Nutrition at the Philippine Women's University in 1961. And she continued Master of Science in Food Science at University of Hawaii in 1966. And her PhD in Nutrition also at the Pennsylvania State University in 1980. And her research interests, so many research interests are about the food security, maternal child nutrition, nutrition in emergency, nutrition in the life cycle, and especially in public health nutrition. So Professor Barba, I will inform you that you have 20 minutes for presentation, and for the operator, could you please to share her PPT, please? And for the participant, you can put your question in Zoom chat, and I will read out your question later. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Barba will sharing with us about the stunting prevention, the Philippine experience. So Professor Barba, time is yours.
Thank you very much, Sandy. And before I start, let me greet you a very pleasant good morning. And let me express my thanks to your institution, particularly to Dr. Tony Maygoda, for having invited me in this seminar. I appreciate being with you because I've always felt that Indonesia is one of the countries that I belong to. So having said that, let me go through and I will just make sure that I stop my video for better connectivity. So I will give you the Philippine experience in stunting prevention. And I have something like 24 slides, so that means I should spend less than a minute per slide. So in the next slide, you will see that we will talk about the stunting trends in the Philippines, the determinants of stunting, the interventions that we use, including the challenges, and the opportunities in the Philippines to better our stunting prevalence. In the next slide, you will see the data from the Philippines. So the projected Philippine population for 2021 is basically 111,600,889. 10.7 of these are under 5. And if you look at the total stunting, it is about 28.8, or that is equivalent to about 3,443,593 children. If you look at the Southeast Asian countries, you will see that Timor-Leste is highest. The Philippines is number 5. So basically, with our 28.8 and the new classification of WHO, it is considered as a high prevalence of nutrition. In the next slide, you will see the trends from 2003. And if you look at it very closely, you will find that basically from 2003 to about 2017, we have remained at about 30, 33. It keeps on going up and down. But recently, we have seen that it has gone down in 2018 and 2019. So now we are at 28.8, although it's very precarious. And if you look at it, 28.8, if you round, is very close to 30%. So that would mean that essentially, almost 3 children out of 10 would be stunted in our country. In the next slide,
setelah dicegat, dia disekap, terus tangannya itu diikat, kepalanya
may I have the next slide, please?
Dan para pelaku ini memperkosa Yuyun secara bergiliran.
You
dan
will
mereka
see the stunting and selected determinants in the Philippines. I am sure that in your portion due, in the National Plan of Action of Indonesia, you have looked at your own determinants. But these are the determinants in the Philippines. I will classify it in big categories, such as low birth weight, the maternal factors of being undernourished, basically problems of anemia, our problems in IYCF, in health program coverage, water sanitation and hygiene, food insecurity. So in the next 7 slides, you will see some of the data in these determinants. So for example, again, I would like you to focus on the black line. The black line, remember, shows the stunting rate that we have. And you can look at the different determinants. So for example, here, you will see that the low birth weight. Note that when the birth weight was a little bit high, of about 20%, the stunting is more than 33%. But as right now we are seeing low birth weight going down to 15%. And we are hoping that this will contribute to the corresponding reduction in the prevalence of stunting. In the next slide, you will see another determinant, and that is the percent stunting among under 5 and the different maternal factors. It is a busy slide. So basically, it tells you about the access of the mothers, the first blue line, the access of the mothers to our health services, and you will see that there is better access. And then on the others, you will see the other determinants, such as basically those who are nutritionally at risk as they enter pregnancy, those who are chronically energy deficient when they are lactating, and also the presence of teenage pregnancy. And again, you will see how these determinants do affect the rate of stunting. And we are very glad that we are seeing a lowering down because of the higher health services that are rendered in our health centers. In the next slide, the next determinant will show us basically the presence of anemia. Again, it is another busy slide, but you will see that many of our programs, particularly the iron folic acid supplementation, seem to be working in lowering basically anemia in the country. But it is not strong enough, essentially, to really affect the prevalence of stunting among children. In the next slide, you will see basically using the different IYCF indicators. And so here you will see basically, again, centering on your black line of stunting, you will see the effect of the pink line on complementary feeding, the red line on exclusive breastfeeding. And we're happy to note that our breastfeeding has been increasing. Unfortunately, if you look at exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months, we have not really attained a very high percentage, and our average duration is only 4.4 months. So we need more campaign to make sure that babies are exclusively breastfed during the first 6 months. Also, if you look at the other indicators with complementary feeding, particularly those with the minimum dietary diversity and the minimum acceptable diet, you will see that it is quite low, and it is only around 10 to 20%. And so we have to improve on the complementary feeding, and that is probably the reason why there is a very high rise of anemia among children, particularly those who are between 6 to about 18 months. In the next slide, may I have the next slide, please? Okay, so here you will see the health program. You will see the health program coverage, including our distribution of MNP, which has not been that successful. You will see that even our vitamin A supplementation went down. It was very high, basically, in the earlier years of the 2000s, because it was given as a campaign. We have what is known as Garantisadong Pambata, where the 2 dosages of vitamin A were given in April and October. However, after some years, it was decided that it should be a regular program. And I think the health workers had a hard time of tracking when the first dose is given and when the second dose will be given, because they do not come at the same time. And because of problems with regards to monitoring, many of the children were not receiving 2 dosages. So you will see essentially some of the reduction that has been noted. And again, we know vitamin A is necessary for health, and it is also necessary to prevent stunting. The next slide will give us basically indicators in the wash. And I would like to think that essentially the fact that we have more household toilets and the fact that we have more potable water and we are using also the toilets, because sometimes you hear of stories that toilets are padlocked or not used because there is not enough water that is piped into the areas, particularly in the far-flung communities. And therefore, what would a toilet be good for if it is not being used? And so this is a campaign to make sure that we have water all over, particularly safe and potable water for drinking, and even water for other uses, to make sure that sanitation is also would be in a good state in all of the Filipino households. In the next slide, you will see food insecurity. And unfortunately, there were years that we did not do very well. Now, if you look at it, it has risen back to the old, more than 60%. But given the pandemic now, we have not had any survey. The last survey that we had was before the pandemic. There was a survey in 2020, and the questions were only with regards to food insecurity. And we found out that there were many households that are food insecure, as expected. Right now, the Food and Nutrition Research Institute is conducting another survey, and we would like to see basically the effect of the pandemic with regards to the determinants and with regards basically to the nutritional status, particularly on wasting and stunting. The next slide will give us the response of the Philippines to address hunger and malnutrition in the country. The National Nutrition Council, a government agency, which is the policy-making body in terms of nutrition, do with consultations of the different sectors a Philippine plan of action of nutrition every 6 years. This 6 years is basically scheduled in time of the presidency. So for example, the PPAN that we have now is for 2017 and 2022. And 2022 is our presidential election. So we'll have to make sure that before the end of 2022, this PPAN is evaluated and plans are made basically for the PPAN 2023-2029. So the next slide will give you what the PPAN is all about. So the PPAN 2017 to 2022 is anchored on the Sustainable Development Goals that the Philippines had pledged for the SDG. You will recall that we just had a lot of food system summit. There were lots of pledges in different countries. And for us, basically, lowering, if not, because I'm sure we will not be totally eradicate malnutrition, is one of our main aims. Therefore, we would like to make sure that stunting, wasting, underweight are reduced, and as much as possible, there will not be very much changes of overweight and obesity, because right now, our overweight and obesity among under 6 is still quite low and still acceptable below 5%. So in addition to these major objectives, we have sub-objectives in the reduction of nutritionally at-risk pregnant women, reduction of low birth weight, increased exclusive breastfeeding and better complementary feeding, and of course, for everybody, better food intake. In doing this, we have what is known as nutrition-specific programs. These are programs that directly will help better nutrition. And we also have nutrition-sensitive programs, which are programs that were not really meant in the beginning to be in nutrition, but in the other sector, but we try to make sure that they become nutrition-sensitive. In addition, we have what is known as nutrition-supportive program, particularly immunization, and many of the things that our Department of Health are doing towards better health, which also aids in better nutrition. And we do have enabling programs. The next slides will give you an essence of what these programs are all about. So here you will see our 8 nutrition-specific programs. So what are they? Infant and young child feeding. I think all of us, Indonesia is well known also for your IYCF. So we want to make sure that basically exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months, At 6 months, you give complementary feeding, and you make sure that you meet the minimum dietary diversity and also the minimum frequency, if not the maximum amount. Then we have an integrated management of acute malnutrition. As you know, if you know already that there are children who are wasted, whether moderate or severe, you try and you make sure that they are treated, and you do prevention programs. Then we have a national dietary supplementation programs for infants 6 to 23 months, for preschool children, and even now we're doing for pregnant and lactating women. National Nutrition Promotion Program for behavior change. So we know that we have to do a lot of social behavior change because the patterns basically of many of the Filipinos may not lend well to having better nutrition. And again, we have programs of different micronutrient supplementation. Vitamin A of high doses given twice a year, iron folic acid, particularly for the W or RA or women of reproductive age, multiple micronutrient powder for very young children. We also have mandatory food fortification. I think we are one of the first country to have mandatory food fortification. Unfortunately, the law has not really been fully used, and right now, except for oil and for wheat flour, the mandatory food fortification of iron works very well. Then we have programs of different nutrition in emergencies. Like Indonesia, we have our fair share of typhoons, earthquakes, volcano eruptions, and so on. And so a lot of nutrition in emergency programs has to be put in place. And finally, as I've indicated, although it's not much of a problem now, except for adults, we have to make sure that our overweight and obesity management and prevention program is in place. Now, this is an array. So basically, the different local governments will have to choose what are the determinants in their place and choose the proper nutrition-specific programs to address their problem. In the next slide, you will see some of the nutrition-sensitive programs: farm to market, coconut rehabilitation program, Descuento Caravan, or that is a discount prices for the poor, particularly family development sessions for parents, not only for the mothers. The father should be present because the fathers play a big role in the way food is distributed at home. Mainstreaming nutrition in sustainable livelihood, public health, adolescent health, and basically, as I've said, water, sanitation, and hygiene. So again, you will have to look at these nutrition-sensitive programs. What do we mean by making them nutrition-sensitive? For example, farm-to-market roads. You will have to locate where is the highest concentration of undernutrition, of stunting, of wasting. Do they have enough farm-to-market roads? If not, what can we do to build better roads for them? Maybe not the highly paved ones, but at least one that will make them easier in terms of transport. So in other words, it is a program that is meant to be in nutrition, but by doing and making it sensitive, you are able to get in touch with those families that are suffering from nutrition. So if you are going to give seeds for vegetable gardening, the agriculturist should know the map of where the malnourished families are and give priority, assuming that they know the skills for planting, or if not, give them training so that they will be able to plant at least some vegetables in their garden, or particularly for those in the rural areas, and even in the urban areas, you can put them in pots or they can climb in your fences and so on. So in the next slide, you will see our enabling programs, and there are 3: mobilization of local government. And I will spend more time on local government in the latter slides, because I think that is the seat of where the action is. Then we have policy development, so that would be more national. And like Indonesia, we have devolution. And so while there are national policies, it would still be up to the LGU what their priorities are. And therefore, policy development and adoption of the national policy to the local government units becomes very important. And finally, to make sure that the management support for the PPAN 2017 to 2022, including financing, which is quite a problem, be attended to. In the next slide, you will see some of the determinants that we talked about earlier. Remember all the determinants that we looked in terms of the graph and how they affect stunting. So if you are from the local government, then you will have to sit together and look what are your problems in the health system, in the food system, in water, sanitation, and hygiene and environment. What are the
5 minutes remaining, please.
Socio-cultural barriers, social protection, monitoring, and surveillance. Select your determinants. And in the next slide, may I have the next slide, please?
Sure.
Okay, and in the next slide, you look at your data. This is an example of the difference of the data that is gathered in the LGU and by the FNRI. And look, there is a vast difference. So we have to make sure that our data quality is very good. We have to improve the quality of collection in our local government. The next slide. The next slide, please. So if your stunting prevalence is high, what do you plan? How do you make your plan? And the next slide will give you some of the tips with regards to this. May I have the next slide, please? So here, look at the different workers in your community. You have an agriculturist, you have a social worker, you have a health person. Look at your activities and make sure that they are interconnected, they are integrated. And look at your common targets. Who are they? Who are the families? What are their ages? What are their groups? And make sure that hunger and poverty is alleviated and the improved livelihood. I just have 2 more slides, I think. Next slide, please. Next. Okay, so here, it is important that you have very good leaders so that the head of our local government will make sure that we do proper assessment of food security, nutrition, and health, and we do strategic planning so that it will impact on our human capital. And it is also necessary that we have all kinds of partnership, not only with the government, not only with the private sector, not only with the NGO, in fact, even with the whole community itself. And in the next slide, you will see that the Philippines is lucky because of our participation in the cabinet secretary from our executive branch of the Interagency Task Force in the Zero Hunger. Then we just have the UN Food System Summit, and we are looking forward for the Nutrition for Growth Summit in Japan. And all of this makes our government really give commitments towards the reduction of malnutrition, particularly of stunting. And finally, in the next slide, a good plan starts with accurate data, integrated and good analysis. Integrated services are crucial. Leadership and partnership are important in a good plan. And we have to make sure that it is a cohesive and integrated social services. So again, with that, malnutrition prevention, we have to make investment, and they are going to be cost effective because it means better human capital development for our country. So with that, thank you very much. Terima kasih. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you for your insightful presentation, Professor. I remember it was interesting when your first slide, you mentioned about the posyandu, right? What do you call posyandu in Philippine? Yeah, I know. Maybe we want to know what's the similar program, I mean, like posyandu, because you mentioned about posyandu, Professor.
Well, it's a health center with us, so it depends upon the municipality. I think our structure is a little bit different. As I've said, we have the national government. Under the national government, we have the local government, and we have 81 provinces. Each of the province is broken down into municipalities or a city. So sometimes you have so many municipalities and very few or even one city There are provinces, I think, that do not even have cities because it has to be more urbanized. Then the municipalities will have basically what we call as barangays. So that would be the lowest unit. So in each one of them, there will be some kind of health center. But of course, the better health centers are always in the city and the municipality. So the municipality and the city are really the site of action. So our local mayors are the important ones in doing planning because they are the ones with the people. But it has to go down into the barangay, or it has to go down to the barangay captains in terms of making sure that the program is running. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Very interesting. Could you please stay in Zoom because we still have a second speaker, and after that we have a discussion and Q&A. Thank you, Professor. So,
yes,
okay, thank you. So we move the second speaker. Will be presented by Dr. Tony Cortis Maigoda, Master of Art. But before his presentation, I would like to give a short CV from Dr. a senior lecturer in Nutrition Department, Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu. He graduated from Academy of Nutrition, Health Department in West Sumatra, 1987, and for the Bachelor of Public Health from University of Indonesia, Jakarta, Indonesia, 1996, and he continued Master of Art in International Health and Community Care. Master of Art in Interprofessional Health and Community Care, Bournemouth University, UK, in 2003. And for the Philosophies of Doctor or Doctoral Program from Human Ecology Faculty, Human Nutrition, IPB University or Bogor Agriculture University in 2016. So Dr. Tony will sharing with us about the solving problem in tackling stunting in Bengkulu Province. Dr. Tony, can you hear me?
Yes, sure.
Okay, so you have 20 minutes for presentation, so time is yours, Doctor.
Thank you, moderator. Excellencies, distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Please welcome you. Her Excellency, the Director of Health Poltekkes Bengkulu Province, Mrs. Eliana, MPH, the Honorable Guest Speaker, Professor Corazon from Philippine. Hello, Professor, you still can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you and see you.
Thank you. Prof. Nur Hasma from Malaysia, and my colleague, Mrs. Lucy from Health Poltekkes of Bengkulu Province, and also all of participants. First of all, thanks to God and His great mercy. Praise to be God who has given us blessing so we can attend and gather in this place in a good condition and happy situation. At the outset, let me express my experience, my appreciation for I have been given to be the guest speaker in this international seminar. In this occasion, allow me here to present solving problems in stunting in the Bengkulu Province. This is my online presentation. First of all, I would like to describe about the prevalence of stunting in Indonesia, handicap and challenges, the first 1,000 days of early life, government effort and regulation, and what is the local government should do. And lastly, recommendation. Children are defined as stunted if their height for age is more than 2 standard deviation below the WHO child growth standard median. Yeah. As you all might be aware, the problem we are currently facing is so complex and huge that we need to solve this problem as soon as possible. One of the most serious problems we face now is stunting. You can see the graph here. According to the geographic distribution of prevalence of stunting by Province 2018, the prevalence of stunting in Bengkulu Province was recorded at 27.98% based on the result of Basic Health Research 2018. This shows that 1 in 3 children in Bengkulu has stunting, especially in district and cities. From this slide, we can see from of the 10 districts or cities in Bengkulu Province, Seluma is the district with the highest prevalence of stunting according to the Indonesian Nutrition Status Survey in 2019. It's about 40.30%. Next slide. Okay. Stunting, we can see just nationally, from 2013 was about 37%, and 2019 27.7%. So every year from 2019 should be deducted by 9.3%, and 2020 should be deducted by 8.30%, and February 2021 deducted by 5.57. So our target, or national target, and also our local government target, it should be achieved in 2024 by 14%. The first 1,000 days of life, the time spending roughly between conception and 1 second birthday, is a unique period of opportunity when the foundation of optimum health, growth, and neurodevelopment across the lifespan are established. So, growth velocity during pregnancy until 2 years old in early life is very fast, especially in 2 years old. So, essential nutrients such as macro and micronutrients are very needed in order to promote growth. If it doesn't meet dietary requirement, it will interfere the growth and possibly become irreversible. It is also happen in teenagers. Therefore, teenagers should consume adequate and proper diet in order to meet requirement dietary allowances. Yeah, I want to little bit describe about the first 1,000 days of life. Yeah, I have already told you this is a unique period of opportunity when the foundation of optimum and growth and neurodevelopment across lifespan are established. This is a window of opportunity. This is a very, very important thing in early life. Okay. There are 2 major impacts due to stunting. Yeah. There are health and economic impact. Yeah. Stunting is bad for children's health, and if this health problem continues, then the country's economy is also affected to overcome losses due to this problem. We can see here the essential impact to the health is failure to grow. Yeah? barriers to cognitive and motor development, and later on, metabolic disorder in adulthood, a risk of communicable disease, such as diabetes, obesity, stroke, and heart disease. And for economic sector, potential profit economic from investment is decreased due to stunting Indonesia over 48 times. Yeah, this is very, very dangerous impact. Now, more importantly, stunting, the process of stunting coincide with the process of inhibiting the growth and development or other organs such as the brain, heart, kidney, pancreas, and will develop till adult. All of these organs created in the womb, yeah, in woman pregnancy, and in the first early 2 years of life, the first 1,000 days in life. Okay. A wise word said, if you don't fight for what you want, don't cry for what you lost. Yeah. This saying we can apply if we do not struggle to cope with stunting by means of nutrition investment, then we must be ready to accept the fact that the quality of future generation will not be better than the one. Is very, very crucial. We have many challenges, yeah, in order to accelerate and reduction of stunting prevalence. From commitment and support, integration, multi-sectoral collaboration, and result by best and research approach. Nutrition education, community-based program, and effective monitoring. It should be regularly, not only at once, because it is a lifespan. We can see to monitor how it's going on. I would like to describe little bit detail because my title is challenges. First one, the implementation of specific and sensitive nutrition intervention is still not integrated, starting from the planning, budgeting process. Secondly, policies and programs implemented by various sectors prioritize intervention that have been proven to be effective. Thirdly, the allocation and utilization of funds has not been effective and efficient. There is no certainty in meeting the need for funding sources for stunting prevention at the district or city level. Fourthly, there are limited capacity of program organizers, availability, quality, and utilization of data to develop policies, advocacy program, outreach stunting campaign, counseling activity, and community involvement very limited. Then at the end, at the field, especially village or barangay, especially that Professor Barba said barangay is village. In Indonesia, we say desa. Yeah. Activities related to stunting had not been integrated from the top to the roots, both in setting target, planning activities, roles, and tasks between parties. Plus, general program coordination at various administrative level is very weak. So, our government has been launching many regulations to tackle and prevent stunting in Indonesia. You can see that it's Presidential Decree 83/2017 on food and nutrition, and now still accelerating. This is our national strategy from our presidents. Yeah.
Dr. Tony, sorry, still unmute. Can you check your...
Okay.
Bunda sekarang bisa.
The spread of stunting every island in Indonesia. So our government is very concerned about this problem. This regulation strengthened the framework of strategic national strategic intervention and institutional responsibility. Vice President of Director of Head of IKKBN and Chief Executive Officer. So this is our national strategy for stunting prevention acceleration from 2018 to 2024. So our target is in 2024 should be achieve 14%. Yeah, to respond to existing condition in 2018, the government launched the national strategy for the acceleration of stunting prevention as a common reference in the implementation of the based on evidence and experience of Indonesia and international implementation of the program and through a process of public consultation and partnership. So, but in our local province, to break down the regulation from our central government, firstly, Decree of Governor of Bengkulu, number 26B, Bapeda in 2019. Our governor create to formulate of steering team and technical team of stunting reduction of Bengkulu. Secondly, Decree of Governor number 176, yeah, and also Decree of Head of Bengkulu Province in Health Office, yeah. So we have many regulation in order to make this program is going properly and fastly. This is I want to describe a little bit 50 municipality or regency priority in 2018, including Sumatra Island and also Bengkulu. In this year, there is only one municipality is northern Bengkulu is known as north of Bengkulu, Bengkulu Utara, yeah. But however, if we look at what is the main cause of the stunting, yeah, from this figure, poor diet is the number one cause of poor health and death worldwide, with similar patterns seen in nearly all parts of the world. For decades, health system and clinicians have focused on the medical drug treatment-based model of disease and ignores fundamental causes such as diet and lifestyle. The consequences of this narrow approach are evident. The global nutrition crisis is now sweeping the world. Okay. Stunted children are affected by poor feeding practices in early childhood, as well as frequent infection before or after birth, and therefore have a greater risk factor, illness and death. But so that stunted children may never reach their full potential height and have poor cognitive development, leading to suboptimal education performance and reduced intellectual capacity, motor, and social economic development. Sorry, this is little bit okay. My cue.
Dr. Tony, could you please share your screen again, please?
Yeah. Something happened in my. Sorry, it's terrible. My mana? Hilang ya. I'm sorry, moderator. My slide is getting lost.
Yes. Or maybe may I share your PPT?
Okay.
Or maybe by yourself?
Okay.
Is it okay?
It's okay. It's okay, please.
Okay, please wait. Could you unshare screen first?
Okay.
Because I need to screen. Can you stop screen first?
Okay.
Okay, great. Okay, wait. Okay, can you see your screen, your PPT, sir?
Yeah. Slide 22, please.
Okay. Here you are.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Next slide, please.
Okay, please go ahead.
Next slide. Okay. Yeah. The consequences of this narrow approach are evident. The global nutrition crisis that is now sweeping in the world. Next slide, please. Okay. Stunted children are affected, by poor feeding practices in early childhood, as well as frequent infection before and after birth, and therefore have a greater risk of illness and death. Research shows that stunting children may never reach their full potential and have poor cognitive development, leading to suboptimal educational performance and reduced intellectual capacity, motor, and social economic development. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. It's not this slide. Next slide. Next slide, please.
Yes, this slide.
Okay. We have, according to the presidential direction, August 5, 2002, there are 5 pillars and priorities of accelerating stunting prevention. There are commitment and vision of national and regional leadership. Second, national campaign and communication behavior change. 3, encourage program convergence at the central and the regional level, food security and nutrition, and lastly, monitoring and evaluation. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay. Thank you. There are 8 stakeholders involved together to accelerate the reduction of stunting in district or cities, such as health province official, local governments, and the sector is related to the aiming of stunting reductions. There are 8 should be integrated together in an instrument in the focus of activity used to improve the implementation of the integration or nutritional intervention in the reduction of stunting. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, this is the important that I want to tell. What is the local government should do? We just state that planning and budgeting, integrate stunting reduction program and activities into cross-program and cross-regional devices into regional development planning document. It should be taken together. Integrated intervention up to the village level. We start from the roots problem. Carrying out integrated stunting reduction intervention contained in cross-program activity on the regional devices up to village level. And then cross-sector coordination, and then making innovation and encourage good practices. And lastly, synchronization of center area activity. Next slide, please.
Dr. Tony, 5 minutes remaining, please.
Okay. I just want to stress or focus at the village level, because output measurement should be available from the selection of 10 stunting locus villages and the formation of functioning of at least 2 posyandu, average 3 to 5 integrated health posts in each village. Next slide, please. Next slide.
Yes.
Train and retrain 5 cadres in each posyandu for selected integrated health posts in the village. And the availability of target family list by name, by address, enter in 1,000 first of 1,000 days of life. Pregnant women, breastfeeding mother, and baby from 0 to 5 months, and from 6 to 11 months, and child from 12 to 23 months in each portion. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, this is our recommendation. The important thing, that data of stunting prevalence at the posyandu level is absolutely necessary, which includes the names and the address of the sufferer family by name and by address. Profiles of families with stunting children or families at the risk of giving birth to stunting children need to be made. This profile contains the information needed by various programs for various ministry and agency to convergently make the family a priority target. It takes leadership from the village head and village official to coordinate the inclusion or specific nutrition program and sensitive nutrition so that the cover on priority family. Next slide. Next slide, please. Within the health system, all essential nutrition action described by WHO need to be mainstream into the service provisions. Leadership and governance country are prepared to fight both sides of malnutrition at the same time. Opportunity in health system Universal health coverage is our chance to fully integrate nutrition in health system, save lives, and reduce healthcare spending. Challenges in health system, nutrition care, preventive and curative, it should be equitably integrated within health system. Next slide, please. Next slide. In relation to the implementation at a multi-sectoral approach to tackling stunting and other forms of malnutrition, all of the countries in the region had a comprehensive topic-specific nutrition policy, and of those, maternal, infant, and young child nutrition. More recently, a number of member states have published new policy documents relating to the nutrition. Coordinating the wide variety of sectors and actors that are implicated in tackling malnutrition is extremely challenging, and high-level multi-sectoral coordination mechanisms are required at the country level. There is evidence that the countries of the region recognize the importance of multi-sector approach to tackle malnutrition. Micronutrient supplementation should be created and implemented by using local food or local wisdom. Next slide. Next slide, please. This is my insight. Yeah, repositioning nutrition into the center of development. Thank you very much for your attention.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Tony, for your insightful presentation. So we move to the Q&A, and we invite again Professor Barba. Are you still in the Zoom? Can you hear me, Professor?
Yes.
Hey, good to see you, Professor. Okay, we already have 2 questions, maybe because we also have a limited time. For the first question, delivered to Professor Barba. Professor Barba, you mentioned in your slide nutrition a specific program, and how is the influence of micronutrient supplementation, including vitamin A, iron, folic acid, zinc, and others? Maybe you can give the example for the micronutrients program in the Philippines. Please, Professor Barba.
We have laws, basically, and policies coming from the Department of Health. For iron folic acid, basically it is given for all women of reproductive age. And therefore, whether they are pregnant, non-pregnant, lactating, non-lactating, they should be given the IFA. But in truth, because the national government does not allocate for all women, and you ask a counterpart from the local government, sometimes distribution is not going to be very effective, and not all will be able to get it. We used to have an MNP for children, but again, the supply is the same as the other micronutrient supplementation that we have. So far, I think the one that used to work is the vitamin A for children twice a year. But even with that, with devolution and so on, not all of the areas are able to do that. So again, like as what Dr. Mygoda had indicated, financing is a problem. And I think particularly for our local government, you really have to do a lot of advocacy for them to really give a commitment for nutrition. And nutrition should not just be a part of health. It should come out, as he said, for him, it should be the center. Maybe that's very difficult to do, but at least it should be very explicit that there is a nutrition budget, and planning has to be done so that you make use of the small budget that you get. Thank you.
Yeah. So when we're talking about like a low middle income countries, and is it Philippines is middle income countries, or same with Indonesia? And maybe you give a suggestion for, especially in country with the low middle income countries, because it's related with the budgeting, right? When you mentioned it.
Yes, it's related with the budgeting. Well, I think Indonesia is probably ahead in terms of making sure that nutrition is in the heart of the budget, because ever since, particularly from the graduates from the former Academic DZ, which is now a polytechnic like your institution, I think the ones that are working in the villages are more nutrition oriented, which is probably not in our case. We're supposed to have a nutritionist in each of the municipality, but up to now, not all of the municipalities would have that. In fact, for the 81 provinces, there may be 1 or 2 provinces that do not even have a nutritionist. And sometimes, even for doctors, medical doctors, not all of them are that nutrition oriented. So you really have to compete. And I think because we have many problems in health, we tend to be more focused on treatment rather than prevention. And so I think we will have to do something about that. Let us not wait for people to get sick, for people to get malnourished, and then do feeding and so on. Let us do something even on the prevention side. And that is the reason why we have to knock on the different areas from agriculture so that they can be given things to plant, and so there will be more to eat, particularly vegetables and fruits. We have to knock basically at the social workers to see who really are much in need, who has to be given aid. You even have to look at trade and industry, all of the departments that are working in the local government, we have to make sure that they have a nutrition orientation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. It's very interesting and suggest for Indonesia actually in our program. So I think we open one question from participant, maybe who participant want to open mic, please. Is there anyone to ask your question? Okay, but okay, we have one question for Dr. Tony. Dr. Tony, are you still there?
Yes, Mike.
Okay. This is question from Aisyah, nutritionist of Puskesmas Kandang, Bengkulu City. She asks about, could you give an example, micronutrient supplementation, because in the last slide, you mentioned about the local food or local wisdom. Could you please give an example for the multi-micronutrient supplementation, please?
Okay, thank you very much for your excellent question. It is a very good question in order to tackle stunting. Yeah, we have to create our formula or diet is contain multi-nutrient supplementation. Yeah, we call it MMS. Every part of our developing countries have done a lot of multi-micronutrient supplementation. In Bengkulu, we have many fish, especially fish in the sea and at the finger of the sea. A lot of rich of protein, and we can also combine with nutrient protein from the sea and nutrient protein from our plant. So we can add some antioxidants. Is also will formulate the mixed food in order to digest in our digestive system. It could be absorbed, absorbed and decrease and generate cell. It is very, very essential. I just want to promote many other dietitian in health center in order to formulate, and you can also try to make a small research in the public center. It is very, very essential, and you can also discuss all in nutrition department, and we can, if you like, we will help you to create, formulate it based on a local wisdom in Polkeslu. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer, Dr. Tony. So we have one participant who want to ask. Hello, Inaha. She is a student, midwifery department, Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu. Could you please ask your question, please?
Okay, thank you, moderator. I want to introduce myself. My name is Anissa. I'm a midwifery student, grade 1. For Mr. Tani, I want to ask you something about stunting. I have read stunting is a condition in which children experience growth disorders, causing their bodies to be shorter than their friends on their age. But how can we know the child's short body condition is caused by stunting? The child may indeed be born short of stature without any cause disease. So how can we know the condition is caused by stunting? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Inaha, for your good question. I think it's a basic question, it's common question, but it's very hard to answer the question. But maybe Dr. Tony, could you please answer the question, please?
It's a question, yeah. It's good question.
Yeah.
You have to know that, yeah, stunting is a chronic deficiency of nutrition. It is not by, how can I say that? It is a long time period since the woman in pregnancy, yeah, for 9 months. So after 9 months to 2 years old, this is period of the Windows opportunity. Yeah, if the essential nutrition is not meet the requirement of dietary allowance, so the growth, yeah, and development to be disorders or to be decreased, and after 2 years, it should be irreversible. So that's why 1,000 days of life is very, very concerned in order to avoid from stunting. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for Dr. Tony and Inaha for the question. Yes, Professor Barba, could you?
Can I add something?
Yes,
well, thank you very much for your question. And since you are a student in nutrition, one of the things that we know is we have growth charts. Or if you're not a student but interested in nutrition, one of the things is that we have growth charts. Most of our growth charts had been done by WHO, although there are countries that do make their own if they have enough data. But I will just speak in general of the WHO growth chart. That has been done in 5 countries of 5 continents. And the findings that we saw is whether you belong to the low income, to the middle income, to the high income, for as long as your nutrition is taken care of, the weights, the heights are almost the same. Having said that, there is a big range for what is known as the normal height for age, the normal weight for height, the normal weight for age. So for stunting, we use a growth chart that is known as height for age. What should be your height at a particular age? And as I've said, there is a big window of opportunity. If you fall below, then that is when you are marked as stunted. And depending upon how far you are from the line, then it can either be you're only moderately stunted or severely stunted. And as Dr. Maygoda had indicated, the first 23 months of life is very important. The first 2 years of life is very important. Because again, if you look at the growth chart of how we grow, you will see that the growth basically is very steep during the first 2 years. But more important, we are using our length in the first 2 years as a proxy indicator of the brain. We do not measure the brain, but if you look at the relationship of the brain and the height, you will see that the first 2 years is very important. That's why people keep on saying that if you are very retarded in the first 2 years, there are already going to be some difficulties with regards to mental development because of that rapid brain growth. And that is why we keep on insisting with regards to the height. So essentially, you track the height of the child if the child is growing, and that is what is important. Unless there is a disorder, some people would say, because we come from a family who are not really very tall, it's genetic. Actually, genetic is a small portion. So we have something like nature versus nurture. So that is basically, nature is the genetic, nurture is your environment. Feeding, rearing. So that is why water, sanitation, and so on are all important. You may give very good food, but if they keep on getting infection because of other factors, then it will basically not make use of the full utilization of the healthy foods that you are giving. So it is a complex thing, and we have to make sure that we really pay attention to the first 1,000 days. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. We still have many questions, but unfortunately, we have a limited time. So I think this is the end of the first session. Thank you so much for Professor Corazon Barba and Dr. Tony Cortis Paigoda. So for the summary, Professor Barba mentioned that in the last slide, investment in malnutrition prevention is cost-effective than on the rehabilitation and treatment of malnutrition and its dreadful consequence. In addition, the implementation of multisectoral is needed to tackle of stunting and malnutrition with the good planning. The last but not least, policy and program implemented by various sectors should prioritize with the prevention program. Maybe this is our summary for the first session. Thank you very much for Professor Corazon Barba and Dr. Cortis Paigoda. Give applause, maybe.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. So we move to the session, the second session. We have two speakers for the second session. We have Professor Nurhasma Sulaiman. Assalamualaikum, selamat siang, good afternoon, Professor. Still morning. Good morning, Nurhasma Sulaiman.
Good morning. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So before her presentation, I would like to give you short CV of Professor Nurhasma Sulaiman. She is a professor and head of Department Nutrition, Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, University Putra Malaysia or UPM. She graduated from Bachelor of Science Human Development, University Pertanian Malaysia, 1994. And then she graduated for Master of Science in Specialization Health and Community Nutrition, University Putra Malaysia in 1999, and her PhD in Specialization Community Nutrition at the University of Putra Malaysia, 2010. So Professor Nurhasma will present with us about the stunted growth, the nutrition perspective. Professor, I will remind you that you have 20 minutes for presentation, Professor. Could you please share your PPT, Professor? Thank you.
Yeah, let me share my slide first.
Sure.
Okay, can you see my slide?
Still loading. Could you full screen, please?
Okay, yeah, wait a minute. Still loading?
Yes, still loading. It's okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Wait for a minute.
Okay, wait. Okay. Can see the full screen?
Yes, Professor. It's already full screen. Please,
okay.
You may first start.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And very good afternoon. No, good morning, I think, in Indonesia. Yeah, Malaysia also still morning. So first of all, I would like to thank the organizer because invite me to be one of the speaker today to share my presentation. The title of my presentation today is Stunted Growth, the Nutrition Perspective. During my presentation, basically, I will share these four main content. The first one, I will share the prevalence of stunting, especially in the global context and in Malaysia. Number two, I will share the factors and consequences of food stunting. And number three, it is the role of nutrition in order to prevent stunting issue. And lastly, conclusion. I hope that I can share with you and everybody can get the information from this presentation. Okay, the first thing I would like to share the introduction of what's my presentation. Okay, double burden malnutrition basically is a global public health concern nowadays and need to be taken accordingly. And what happened in Malaysia, basically, there is an increasing trend for the overweight and obesity. And at the same time, we also have issue on the undernutrition, especially among children below 5 years old. In order to discuss malnutrition, everybody, I think, have some information. We have 4 categories of malnutrition among children. The first one is underweight. What actually the mean of underweight? It is referring to the child who is too thin for a age. Secondly, wasting. What is wasting? Is child who is too thin with their height. And it is maybe acute, acute malnutrition, meaning that it is rapid loss of their weight gain. Stunting, which is a child who is too short for their age. And this is actually a chronic malnutrition. It is a long-term period which is suffer from undernutrition. And lastly, we have issue on obesity and overweight, which is the child who is too heavy for their age. And this situation maybe can increase the risk of diet related to the non-communicable diseases, especially in later in their life. So this is the 4 category of the malnutrition, especially among children. So what happened actually? We focus on stunting and what is the prevalent stunting globally? And based on the current data, 2020, the prevalence of the stunting globally is 21.3%. And based on this map, we can see that the red color, the high prevalence, very high prevalence of stunting, actually in the Middle Africa and Eastern Africa, and also Southern Asia. And we can see that the blue color actually referring to our area, Southeastern Asia, including Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, and Thailand, which is the prevalent actually around 20 and less than 30%. That is our situation. Can look at the situation in Malaysia, the prevalence of undernutrition status for 2 children under 5 years old in Malaysia. And we can see based on this table, this figure, based on the red line, it is the data from the National Health and Mobility Survey, which is from 2006 trend until 2019. We have follow-up data collection at the national data. And then we found that the prevalence of the stunting in Malaysia actually increased from 17.2% in 2006 and increased into 21.8%. So we can see this red line, they are increasing. However, the prevalence of the wasting, which is the green color, it is decreased from the 13.9% in 2006, decreased into 9.7% in 2019. So what actually this figure tell? We can see that the prevalence of stunting actually increased in Malaysia. And this is the current prevalence of malnutrition for children under 5 in Malaysia. We have 4 categories: underweight, stunting, wasting, and overweight. And we can see based on this figure, the stunting actually highest among the rest of the malnutrition in Malaysia, which is almost like 22%. And one of the every 5 children in Malaysia actually categorized as stunted. So this is quite serious in Malaysia. Okay, now we look at, in order to understand what is the concept of the maternal and child undernutrition, which is related with the stunting. So stunting actually is a manifestation of the maternal and child undernutrition, and it is very complex. Stunting actually, it is a correlation between maternal and child undernutrition, and it is complex, which is the interaction between the household itself, environment, socioeconomic, and culture. And in order to understand the framework of the stunting, we are referring to UNICEF, the figure or the roadmap of the UNICEF 2013. And based on the roadmap, we can see that stunting actually is a relationship between the community, household, and individual. Yeah, and look at this slide, which is this is the conceptual framework in order to understand the undernutrition, which is referring to the, in this case, referring to the stunting. Based on this figure, we can see that there are three main causes of undernutrition, which is the basic causes, underlying causes, and immediate causes. The basic causes, they are more focusing on the macro concept, which is they are looking at the socioculture, economic, political context, or maybe it is referring to the inadequate financial, they don't have any enough wealth, for example, or they don't have any access enough resources, land, education, or maybe they don't have a good job, yeah, in order to obtain the money for their family. That is the basic causes that we want to focus in. The second causes is referring to underlying causes, which is the first one is household food insecurity. I think the first and second presenter focusing on issue household food insecurity. And the second underlying causes is referring to inadequate care and feeding practices, which is happen actually in the household. It is referring to the intra-household resources allocation, which is most of the intervention actually we forgot to look at this issue, which is happen in the household itself. And the third underlying causes is referring to the environment or health services. And based on these underlying causes, it may cause the immediate cause, which is referring to the inadequate dietary intake. Or it is maybe look at the quality food intake in the household, and maybe it can cause a disease, such as, for example, chronic diseases or infectious diseases. And finally, it can cause the maternal and child undernutrition. If that is issue in the household, it may be cause the short-term consequences. Maybe it can cause mortality, morbidity, disability, and it may cause the long-term consequences such as the cognitive ability, the economic productivity, and other things, and also involved with the cardiovascular disease. And this can cause the intergenerational consequences. So this is very serious, and we must think how to prevent from this issue, especially on the issue stunting. Now we go for the second part of my presentation, which is focusing on factors and consequences of stunting. I would like to share, this is the one of the recent published paper in the Lancet, the prestigious papers published 2021, which is discussed, the systematic review discussed on the contributing factors toward the stunting. And we can see it is quite detailed, and we can see the color, the blue color, the first one, and then we have the green color and also the brown color. Yeah, so basically we can say that the blue color is referring on the first one is the parental education. Yeah, most of parental education, the economic factors, issue on food insecurity, and also wealth. Economic factors. You can see most of the country, they have the blue color. Okay, that is the first category. The second category, we can see the green colors. Each of the country all over the world have issue on the green color. What does it mean? It is referring to the maternal and childborn care. It is happen in the household. It is referring to the maternal nutrition itself, before pregnancy, during pregnancy, or maybe after pregnancy. So it is more focusing on the nutrition aspect, and also infant and young child feeding. So this is more green color focusing on this issue. And the brown color actually referring to the environment and also health system. So this is basically the systematic review discussed regarding the contributing factors of the stunting all over the world. Yeah. Okay. And then I try to categorize the factors based on the nutrition part, most of the nutrition part, which is focusing on the maternal nutrition, breastfeeding, child nutrition, and lastly, I'm focusing on the healthy environment. So the most important part that we must be focused in order to prevent from the stunting is referring to the maternal nutrition. We must ensure that the mothers consume healthy and balanced diets before pregnancy, during pregnancy, and also lactation. That is the most important part. The second one, issue on breastfeeding. So we must encourage mothers to exclusive breastfeeding and continue breastfeeding until 2 years old. That is very, very important. And the third one, child nutrition. Don't forget to ensure that the infant, the children, they can consume nutritious food, diverse and safe food in early childhood, and focusing on quality food. That is very important part. And lastly, look at the healthy environment. Ensure issue on the wash, hygiene, which is discussed from the previous speaker from the Philippines and also Indonesia. Look at issue on water, hygiene, sanitation, and also safe physical activities, which is also very important. And at the same time, health services also provide the important part in order to prevent from the stunting in the country. Okay, another issue that relate with the factors, we are also looking at the mother's characteristic, which is small body build among the mothers. Mothers related to the nutritional status, low birth weight, and mothers who did not receive any health intervention, especially during pregnancy, they also have a risk to get the children or babies which is stunting. Okay, infant and child feeding also very important. Make sure that all the infant we must provide the breastfeeding early as soon, not late initiation of the breastfeeding. And some of the children maybe they don't have exclusive breastfeeding, less nutritious and less feeding time. At the same time, that issue on the infection, such as fever, diarrhea, or maybe it related with the environment itself. The hygiene, they may cause the diarrhea and other things. And finally, it is caused by the socio-demographic, such as in the city, the mothers is very busy, especially in Malaysia. So they send the kids into the nursery. So what happened in the nursery is they provide the healthy food for the babies and infants. That is the big issue. Child gender, mother's education level, ethnicity, especially in Malaysia, and also poverty is the main factors which is related to the income, food insecurity may contribute to the stunting issue in this country. And why we want to discuss stunting? We can discuss this because they have the consequences, and we can divide into 3 main consequences, which is the first one is short-term consequences, which is it can cause a risk of the infections such as pneumonia and also diarrhea. It maybe can cause the mortality. And the medium consequences, stunting also can affect the cognitive, education, behavioral aspect of the child development because they don't eat enough food for the growth. And lastly, it may cause the long term because it may relate with the lack of the physical stamina and poor cognition. And finally, it can cause the low economic productivity and wages, the income, because they are always maybe sick, fever. They cannot go to the work to get the money for their family. In other words, that the effect of the stunting are intergenerational, which is low birth weight is more common among infants whose mother are stunted during early childhood. So this is like cycle. Therefore, we must prevent in order to make sure that it is not continuous happen in our country. So this is the summary, the implication of stunting. They will affect the growth. They will affect the poor cognition, the poor cognitive function, decrease productivity, and lastly, it relates with the non-communicable diseases such as hypertension, diabetes, heart disease problem, which is referring to the Barker theory. So maybe you can search what is Barker theory. Yeah, it is maybe the development during the childhood. It may consequences toward the adulthood related to the non-communicable diseases. And the third point that I would like to highlight is the role of nutrition in order to prevent stunting in the country. So basically, in order to discuss the nutrition play important role to prevent from the stunting, we can discuss 5 important points, which is we can look at the pre-pregnancy, we can look at the during pregnancy, after birth, complementary, and what is the role of the government to prevent stunting, which providing a good program for the future. So we look at the pre-pregnancy. So before pregnancy, all the girls, all the women must plan, which is they must aim for the normal body mass index prior conception. We know that we have a standard body mass index based on the WHO. We make sure that everybody must have normal body mass index. And the second one, make sure that we must encourage all the population to consume healthy, balanced diet. In Malaysia, we have concept pinggan sehat Malaysia using the suku separuh. This is the example of the concept of pinggan sehat Malaysia, which is using suku separuh, quarter half, which is the quarter carbohydrate, quarter protein, and the rest, the half actually vitamin and mineral from the fruit and vegetable. And make sure that before pregnancy, they must consume at least 3 months before pregnancy acid folic to ensure that they have a good micronutrient in their body. That is the first step in order to prevent stunting. The second step, during pregnancy, what happened? What actually the prevention that we can do? Which is the first one, make sure that when we know that the women pregnant, they must get the early antenatal checkup, at least before 12 weeks of pregnancy. Go to the clinic, which is in the clinic, we have doctors, nurses, and nutritionists to advise in terms of the nutrition and other things. The second one, make sure that during pregnancy, the appropriate weight gain actually 0.5 kg per month for the first 5 months and 0.5 kg per week after the next month onward. And basically, we can presume that the average weight gain during the pregnancy between 10 to 12 kg. That is the appropriate weight gain during the pregnancy. And then during the pregnancy, make sure that they can obtain the hemoglobin level 11 throughout the pregnancy. Do not below than 10. That is very important. It is related with the anemia. Regular checkup, make sure they consume healthy and balanced diet, and make sure they maintain a good oral health. Must be follow this criteria during pregnancy in order to prevent the stunting after we have a baby later. After birth, what actually the main thing that we might make sure we must do it, actually referring to the breastfeeding. Global breastfeeding, the global prevalence of breastfeeding currently based on the WHO is 44.0%. And in Malaysia currently we have 47%. We must increase this prevalence, and I expect that other countries like Indonesia and also Philippines or Thailand, they also have the high prevalence of the breastfeeding. And make sure we must encourage mother to breastfeed the babies exclusively from the birth until 6 months and continue until the child is 2 years old. That is compulsory. Try to practice exclusive breastfeeding. And after 6 months, we must introduce the complementary feeding, especially after the baby's 6 months above. Don't be late. Some of my respondent, my community, they introduce the complementary is quite late. Some they introduce at the 8th month, and some of the community introduce at 1 year. It's too late. We must introduce basically after 6 months birth in regarding to the complementary feeding. And we must actually make sure within 1,000 days, it is very crucial I think the two speakers before, they are stressed on this issue. 1,000 days must be, the women, and during the pregnancy, the children must have nutritious food and balanced diet, because this is very crucial, because the children will grow, the development, and also we can prevent from the risk of the develop various non-communicable diseases such as diabetes, hypertension at the later life. So focus on 1,000 days. They must have a proper nutrition during this time. Another things that we must focus issue on the immunization and growth assessment. So the babies must have their vaccination according to the schedule. In Malaysia, we have a schedule. The baby should go to the clinic or the private clinic to get the vaccine. So it is in order to avoid from other diseases, infectious diseases or other things. So make sure follow this schedule, very important. And then at the same time, during the visit to the clinic or the private hospital, we must check the growth of the development of the children, which is using like a weight and height of the children. And we plot in the growth chart. In Malaysia, we can refer this in the books, buku rekod kesihatan bayi dan kanak-kanak 0 to 6 years. We must plot it and we can see, we can understand whether the children actually thinness, normal, stunting, overweight or obesity based on the color. The nurse, the nutritionist will explain to the mothers. That is a very, very important thing. Monitor. The mothers maybe monitor the growth of the children. And then lastly, we are looking at the complementary feeding. This is a very important. We must introduce at least during the 6 months of the baby's infant, and we must have a different food texture, such as during 6 to 8 months, we must introduce food with like a liquid food, puree food, blended food, melted food, and soft food. And after 9 months, maybe we can chop it, and then we can provide a nutritious finger food. They can hold the food using their hand of the babies. And more than 12 months, we can introduce the family food. That is the proper complementary feeding that need to introduce to the baby in order to prevent from the stunting. And when actually want to feed the children, this is the age and the main meal and the snack. For example, for the 6 to 8 months, we must introduce the main meal 2 or 3 times. And we actually can introduce snack 1 time or 2 times. Same with when the baby is more than 12 months, we can introduce main meal 4 to 5 times and also the snack. We must follow this recommendation and make sure that we need to increase the frequency of meal if the amount of the food consumed is less or the food is diluted or less energy dense. So that is a procedure that we must follow. And lastly, we are talking about the stunting program, recent and future in Malaysia. We have a plan, we have a program under Anthem, which is a national program nutrition for action in Malaysia. Same with I think in Indonesia and also in Philippines. We have this plan, nutrition plan for Malaysia. And we already planned and already done all this activity in order to prevent stunting, which is focusing on the pregnant women, such as we have the iron supplementation, iron folate supplementation. We also have the full cream milk powder supplementation. We have nutrition education counseling for the pregnant women. And also we educate the mothers in the clinic regarding the cooking demonstration, healthy diet. And at the same time, we have 8 intervention program, especially for children below 5 years old, which is in order to prevent from the malnutrition, such as we have the breastfeeding promotion, baby-friendly hospital initiative. All this actually the program in order to prevent issue on the malnutrition in Malaysia. And we also have the program on food basket. This is the pioneer of the program in Malaysia and already started in 1989. And we provide this food for the low-income family with the children problem on the wasting and stunting. And we provide a food basket every month, and until they recover from the stunting or wasting, then we stop the program. And we also have the community feeding program, which is focusing on the indigenous people. We have like volunteer cook every morning and provide the meal, the breakfast meal to the children before they go to the school. But this is focusing on the indigenous people in Malaysia. And what happened currently, in order to plan reducing the prevalence of the stunting in Malaysia, we have 3 phases. Start 2019, 2020, now 2021 and afterward. The first phase, actually, we train the health staff, train the nurse, the nursery, kindergarten teachers regarding issue on stunting, healthy diet, demo cooking, and other things. Yeah. And then after that, we have phase 2, 2020. We try to focusing also community empowerment. Yeah, we identify the community, and then such as the community feeding among the indigenous people, we empower the community, and we continue to train the health staff and also the teachers in the kindergarten. And currently, 2021, we continue to strengthen the training. At the same time, now we go for the mass media. We use the social influencer using a YouTube. We have the website. You can check in the website Anak Malaysia Sihat. They have the web that all the document, all the information regarding nutrition in order to prevent from the stunting in this website. And also we try to enhance the community volunteers. Pusyandu, like in Indonesia, we try to enhance this involvement in the community, and also in the health clinic, printed health education material. And currently, I just discussed with the Ministry of Health and also one of the NGO from the Indonesia, Yayasan Balita Sehat, and one of the NGO in Malaysia, Pertubuhan Ikram Malaysia, to enhance, to collaborate how actually we want to enhance the community to prevent from the this issue. Now, this is the ongoing project currently happen. I involved this project with the NGO and also Ministry of Health. In conclusion, what actually we must focus in order way forward to prevent the stunting in our region. The first one, we must be understand that in our region, the high prevalent and increasing trend of stunting actually is a public health concern. So everybody must aware. As a health professional, we must be aware, and we must recognize this is our problem. Therefore, when we recognize, we aware, therefore we must do something to stop this cycle of stunting. We must stop it, because this, if we don't stop, therefore they become a cycle. So we must stop this cycle. That is the first thing. Okay. The second one, a good nutrition actually is a very important in order to prevent malnutrition or stunting. Therefore, now this is the window very important to focus that everybody, especially during 1000 days, must have a good nutrition. Yeah, it is a crucial toward the healthy future nation. So let's focus 1000 days, prepare women, have a balanced diet before pregnancy, and after pregnancy, follow the recommendation. Yeah, the weight, the calorie every day, check to the clinic, and after that, breastfeeding, and then complementary feeding. All these things must be followed within 1000 days. That is very crucial. And lastly, look at the nutrition policy and program. Yeah, in order to improve children nutrition, we must require the effective and sustained nutrition program for long term. Must be effective and sustained nutrition program. In order to sustain an effective nutrition program and policy, we must make sure that it is involved engagement from the multi-sectorial. I'm agree this, based on the discussion from the speaker, the previous speaker, we must involve the multi-sectorial, not only under Ministry of Health, but they also involve other NGO, maybe the society, the community, in order to prevent together this issue. It is not only in the under shoulder of the government sectors. It is involved the NGO. They have a power of the civil society to make sure that they must have the government to prevent from this issue. We must empower the community to prevent their community from this issue. At the same time, don't forget, when we are doing the nutrition program, we also must have a regular data collection. Why? Because we want to monitor and analyze the progress of the program in order to make sure that they achieve the target of the program. So monitor the program regularly, because some of the program, they have a very good program. However, they forget to have the evaluation program by the end or the middle of the program or by the end of the program. Therefore, we do not know the effectiveness of the program. So that is the thing, when we talk about the nutrition program and policy in the country. So I think this is the way forward that we must go in order to prevent stunting in our region, such as in Malaysia or Indonesia or Philippines or Thailand. So I think by the end of my presentation, thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Terima kasih. Thank you very much for Professor Nurhasma Sulaiman. So yeah, I agree with you mentioned about the NGO. Indeed, NGO NGO give a big influence for us to prevent the stunting. But Professor, could you please stay in Zoom because we still have the last speaker? Thank you, Professor. So we move to the last speaker from the second session. We have Mrs. Lucy Andriani as STM. Mrs. Lucy, can you hear me?
Yes, Andy.
Yes, thank you. Before
Can you hear my voice?
Yes,
Can you hear my
clearly.
voice?
Yes, very clearly. Thank you. Before her presentation, I'm going to tell you about a short CV from Mrs. Lucy. Mrs. Lucy Andriani, she is a lecturer in Midwifery Department, Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu. She graduated from a Bachelor of Applied Science in Midwifery Department, Pajajaran University, Bandung, Indonesia in 2005. And for the Master of Public Health in Specialization Health Promotion. And today, Mrs. Lucy will sharing with us about the early detection of anemia. She made of program CMIA in the pregnancy to prevent of stunting. So Mrs. Lucy, I remind you that you have 20 minutes for presentation. So Mrs. Lucy, time is yours. Could you please share your PPT? Okay, you may start.
Yes, Andy.
Yes.
Thank you, moderator, for the time given to me. And I would like to share about our research, early detection of anemia in the pregnancy to prevent stunting. This is our research in year 2020. My team and I conducted research that resulted in innovation in health promotion media for pregnant women in the form of an Android-based anemia detection application to add insight into anemia, help detect anemia and consult pregnancy problems with midwives. This application is used to avoid frequent contact with midwives or health workers, making it suitable for use during the COVID-19 pandemic. The research background is based on the previous research in 2018 from Basic Health Research, that anemia occurs in pregnant women in Indonesia is about 48.9%. Based on the 2015 Inter-Kansas Population Survey, the maternal mortality rate in Indonesia still occupies position 305 to 100,000 live births. The highest reason for maternal mortality rate is bleeding. And one of the reasons for bleeding is anemia, which is an indirect cause of maternal death, especially in pregnancy. The frequency of anemia to postpartum hemorrhage is 5 till 15% of all deliveries. Another impact of the anemia status of pregnant women is stunting. According to the WHO, the causes of stunting in children under 5 are maternal factors, living environment, insufficient food completeness, exclusive breastfeeding, and infection. From the study result, the hemoglobin levels of pregnant women is related to the length of the baby who will be born. The higher of the hemoglobin levels, the longer the size of the baby to be born. Iron is one of the substances that play a role in bone formation. Iron plays a role as a distributor of oxygen to all body tissues. If oxygenation to the bones is reduced, then the bones will not grow optimally. Iron deficiency will have a severe impacts of the bones that affect bone mineral density, mineral content in bones, and the femur strength. A study conducted by Angels et al. In 1993 in Indonesia regarding iron supplementation in children aged 2 under 5 years showed a significant change in height and height for 8Z score after iron supplementation. Various research results state a significant relationship between anemia in pregnant women and the incidence of low birth weight. On the other hand, various studies have also produced a significant relationship between low birth weight and stunting. Prevention of anemia can be done if pregnant women know their condition and overcome them apart from consuming foods that contains a lot of iron and compliance with iron supplement during pregnancy. In Bengkulu province, pregnant women receive the indicator achievement of pregnant women who received 90 tablets of blood supplement during pregnancy was about 86%. This figure is still below the figure set in the strategic plan of the Ministry of Health for 2018, which is 95%. There are 3 health centers in Bengkulu City had the highest rates. There are Sawalebar Health Center, about 39.6%. Padang Serai Health Center, 35.8%. And Kuala Lumpur Health Centers, about 25%. For early detection of anemia to be carried out widely, an application that supports it is needed to minimize the reason for distance and lack of information. With technology that is developing rapidly, people can use this technological advance, and even the lower classes of society can access information distributed through application on smartphone. The research team tried to create an application that can help and facilitate pregnant women and health workers in detecting anemia in pregnant women. In addition to conduct early detection of anemia in pregnant women, SIMIA that the researchers create is used to provide health information during pregnancy, especially about anemia. so that pregnant women understand the importance of being free from anemia during pregnancy, so that it is hoped that maternal knowledge about anemia can increase. Mothers have a positive attitude during pregnancy, and mothers carry out practices that support mother's success in undergoing the process of pregnancy, childbirth, and postpartum. This study used a quantitative method with a quasi-experimental pre- and post-test design with a control group design. The sample is 60 pregnant women in Bengkulu City, consisting of 30 women as the intervention group and 30 women as the comparison group. Pregnant women who were selected as respondents were pregnant women who met the following inclusion criteria. Criteria number 1 is domiciled in the research location, pregnant women who have a smartphone, and then pregnant women who have a maternal child handbook, or we call buku KIA atau buku pink, and then pregnant women who have not checked their hemoglobin levels in the last 3 months, and the last willing to be respondent. While the exclusion criteria are pregnant women whom anemia detected. The intervention group was taken from the Padang Serai Health Center area of Bengkulu City with the consideration that the Padang Serai Health Center area has the second highest prevalence of anemia in pregnant women. It's a suburb of Bengkulu City located on the case so that there are many marine products, but there are still many pregnant women who suffer from anemia. Pregnant women lack the motivation to carry out hemoglobin examination seen from the register of pregnant women in the health center area. Most of them do not have hemoglobin examination records. As the comparison group, pregnant women were taken from other health center areas in Bengkulu City purposely. In the preparation stage, my team and I developed SIMIA in consultation with the IT team. The contents of the application include signs and symptoms, risk factors and predisposing factors, impact, prevention, dietary requirements of pregnant women with anemia, detection of anemia through questionnaires, and consultation with health workers. Furthermore, testing the media from the quality of the system and substance before the application is used in research in order to ensure that the application is feasible and can be used. Respondents in the intervention group were asked to use the SIMIA application when the mother was at home and to consult with health workers as stated in the last step of the application. After 1 month, the researchers collected respondents again and interview whether the mother did early detection of anemia, do hemoglobin examination and physical examination to the midwife or to the health center area by checking the records or documentation in the mother's MC handbook or buku KIA and asking the mother for the result of the examination. For the comparison group, respondents were given an explanation about anemia based on the content of the buku KIA, and both groups were given pre and post-test of knowledge and attitudes about anemia conducted at the beginning of the activity and 1 month after the activity. The result of the study, there were an increase in knowledge from practice to first test and second post-test in both groups, but the increase in SIMIA application media was higher than MCH handbook or buku KIA, so that SIMIA application media could be used as innovation in learning and consulting media, especially about anemia in pregnant women. After being given education through SIMIA, the mother becomes aware of the symptom of anemia and how to prevent and treat it. In this application, there are also articles containing types of food that can be prevent and treat anemia to increase the mother's knowledge. In addition, the mother can also consult if there are things that the mother needs to ask to the midwife or health workers. The mother was asked whether the mother had made an antenatal care visit based on her gestational age, and whether the mother had a physical examination to detect anemia, and whether the mother had performed an hemoglobin examination during her pregnancy. In this consultation session, the midwife also advised the mother to make antenatal care visit at least 4 times during pregnancy, according to the standard, and conduct an hemoglobin examination to determine whether the mother's hemoglobin level is classified as anemic or not. After 1 month of research activities, a first test was carried out mother's knowledge, attitudes, and practices in the detection of anemia. For the practice variable, the mother was asked whether she had made an antenatal care visit, whether she had done an hemoglobin examination, and her hemoglobin levels. The mother was asked to show her buku KIA or MCH book from the result of measurement of hemoglobin levels. It is known that there are 6 mothers in the category of moderate anemia. Hemoglobin levels 8%, 8 gram percent, and 9 people in the category of mild anemia, hemoglobin 9 and 10 gram percent. From the result of this study, it was found that there was no significant difference between knowledge and attitude in the comparison group, which is only used the MC handbook, while the practice variable had a difference. This means that the mentoring activities carried out used more actively to increase the respondent. Knowledge, attitudes, and practice. This is because mother have easy access to the information contained in the application. Besides, mother do not need to come directly to health services or to midwives for consultation, and midwives are also easier to monitor mothers during their pregnancy. With communication between mothers and midwives, mother feels more getting attention and support, so that mothers are motivated to maintain, improve their health, and mothers are more sensitive to their health condition during pregnancy and preparation for childbirth, breastfeeding, and childcare. The output from this research is the application we call it SIMIA, which has received copyright from the Director General of Intellectual Property. In addition, other outputs are pocketbook, and then the result of research have also been used in the Padang Serai Health Center area and in Betungan Health Center area through the class for pregnant women and the independent practice of midwives. Maybe I would like to show you a video about SIMIA. Okay, this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention. Back to the moderator, please.
Thank you so much for Mrs. Lucy for the, I think it's interesting application for us, especially for the pregnant woman to prevent of anemia. So we invite again Professor Nur Hasma. Are you still in the Zoom, Professor?
Yeah,
Yeah. We already have many questions, but unfortunately we still have limited. But I think it's really interesting when you say about the implication of stunting. The participant asks about the cognitive function. Could you more explain about the implication between the stunting and the poor cognitive function? Because when we talking about the cognitive function, we need to know how is the domain, like a memory, like a language, or like is it correctly in the children, or maybe in the after more than 5 years? Please, Professor Nur Hasma.
Okay, thank
Could
you
you
very
explain
much.
more?
Thank you very much for the question. Yeah, this is very good discussion regarding this topic.
Yeah,
there are many studies actually. We can go to the reference literature. They found that there are correlation between the stunting and also the cognitive development. So it is may relate with the issue on the during the learning process. During the learning process, maybe they cannot learn more, because as we know that the brain, they are growth, with the enough nutrition, especially for example during the school age children, they need energy, for example, enough energy, especially from the carbohydrate. And then the carbohydrate, they have a glucose. That the glucose actually is a very important in order to develop a energy for our brain. So therefore we need to have enough nutrition, especially issue on food security. Okay, from that I think there are many studies indicate, especially for example, food insecurity, they don't have enough food, and relate with the academic functioning, such as issue on the mathematics. Food insecurity, because of they don't have enough food, so they relate with the issue on the language. They have a literature. You can go to the literature, you can find such as a mathematics, so problem solving. Like mathematics, we know 2 plus 2 4. They have a situation, and then we need to settle down the issue. So that is problem solving. So that is a correlation. For those who have issue on stunting, they have issue on the undernutrition, so they relate with it. They cannot manage this mathematics issue. And other things that they relate also with the something like the behavior. They have behavior. So I have a study basically with my master student, 2 or 3 students doing this topic, food security, which is related with stunting, as we know from the framework, which is they are related with the first one issue on the behavior in the school, aggressiveness in the school, for example, and then report by teachers, how they behave in the school, and the mothers also answer the question. And then the finding is consistent. This is based on the small scale, not the national study in Malaysia. But we are doing this research by the master student and PhD student. So the finding really indicate that they have correlation between the situation, not enough food, and then with the behavior, the aggressiveness of the behavior of the children. So therefore, we especially for the children, we need to focus that especially during the breakfast. So make sure that before they go to the school, they take a breakfast. We need calorie from the carbohydrate, because the calorie actually can enhance our brain to think, to synthesize all the whatever they learn in the school. You can search from the internet issue on the like food insecurity relate with the cognitive and also the behavior. That is my comment. Moderator. Okay.
Professor Nur Hasma, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. Escrima. Okay.
Yeah, so I already actually mentioned the correlation between these two, the two things, food insecurity, so stunting, and then with the cognitive and other behavior.
question for your answer. So we have one participant who want to ask for speakers. Mrs. Reka Lagora, please. Could you ask? Sorry, Mrs. Reka Lagora, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
moderator. Thank you, moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, Prof. Nur Hasmah.
Morning.
May I introduce myself? My name is Reka Lagora from Health Department. As described earlier, one of the strategy of overcome stunting in Malaysia is public health concern. Maybe you can share with us the trick in public health concern in Malaysia so that it increase our knowledge as health promoter to provide education about stunting to the public. Thank you, Prof.
Okay, thank you for the question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So can I answer the question, moderator?
Sure,
Okay,
Professor
okay.
Nursma.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a very good question. Yeah, for this issue, this is a public health concern actually in Malaysia. As I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, the previous 2006, the prevalence is quite low in Malaysia. Yeah, like if I'm mistaken, like 17%. Yeah, and then currently 2019, the latest National Health and Mobility Survey in Malaysia, they are increased almost like 22%. So it is quite a huge increment of the prevalence. So therefore, I think the ministry and also the counterpart like the researcher, the academia, we are work together in order to cope this issue. Yeah, why it happened? Why it happened in Malaysia? There are increase. Yeah, we hope that actually we have a target. For example, in Malaysia, by if I'm mistaken, 2025.
Professor, I think your connection is unstable. Could you please?
Okay, can you
Hello,
hear
Professor.
me? Yeah,
We cannot hear your voice.
Oh, okay.
Okay, clearly. Okay, please,
Okay.
you may
answer. So in Malaysia, because of the increment of the prevalence, so we take this the big issue in country. Okay. So therefore, we are discussed and the ministry discussed with the academia about this issue. So one of the big that they have a phase start 2019. Yeah, 2019 and until now we have phase to cope this issue. The first one, what actually did in the ministry, they train the workers in the clinic and also in the nursery. Pasca in Malaysia, because the mothers go to the work and the kids actually sent to nursery. I think this is similar with Indonesia. Yeah? So that is the issue, which is I give the example in Malaysia. We have Putrajaya. All the government office actually in Putrajaya. So this is most of officer, government sector in Putrajaya. But based on the prevalence, the Putrajaya, they have high prevalence of stunting. But the mothers actually they are working in the government sector. Why? So the issue is related with we are looking at the nursery or taska, which is the kids basically they send to the taska itself or nursery. So who take care the nutrition, the food, the milk in the taska? So therefore they train the workers, caregiver in the taska to make sure that they provide a healthy diet for the children in the taska, in the nursery itself. That is one of the activities that we want to focus in. And number two, yeah, I just want to mention, same with the condition, the Putrajaya, which is most of the mothers, they are going to work in the office from 8 to 5 o'clock. Okay, they are very busy. Yeah, so they don't have enough time to prepare food, for example. So in order to cope this issue, they just buy food from the night market. And the issue is related to the quality of diet. As we know that they sell maybe high content of the fat and other things. They bring to their household and they eat together with the family. So the issue is related with the diet quality of the family. So we need to encourage mother to teach them healthy diet, a simple preparation but healthy diet. So must educate the mothers relate with the quality diet. That is the big issue. So that is the program that we plan, the ministry plan, also the NGO plan to help, especially beside that in the urban poor people like Kuala Lumpur. In Kuala Lumpur, we have the like rumah flat, tingkat, you know that? And then they have because cost of living in Kuala Lumpur is quite high. They are from the urban poor community. So that is the big issue, how we want to cope this issue. Yeah, so the government, I think they do a lot to help this group of people. But now we plan, NGO plan, how the NGO need to play important role to advocate the community, especially the urban poor community in Kuala Lumpur and Selangor. Yeah, they have a high prevalence of stunting among urban poor people. So we plan, if for example, we have center in the Rumah Pangsa, Rumah Flat, yeah, and then we try to train for the trainers, for the Pusyandu ataupun volunteers. Yeah, at least they can enhance the community. And then we can link with the ministry or the clinic. If they have a cases, then we can send it to the clinic. But we can educate the mothers. We can educate the mothers at the beginning. That is the planning in the ministry and also with the NGO that are involved. At the same time, we have the state government. Now we have just last 2 weeks, we have a roundtable discussion about this issue. We also plan with the Indonesia, with the Yayasan Balita Sehat, how they are doing this. Yeah, they have a very good in terms of the empowerment, to make sure that the community have this issue. So we plan this. Actually, I hope that therefore we put effort in order to reduce the prevalence of the stunting in Malaysia currently like 22%, and our target basically in 2025, if I'm mistaken, is like 12%. So it's quite far. We must have a rigorous work to reduce all this prevalence in Malaysia. That is a current what happened in Malaysia. So thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Nurhasma. It was very insightful for Indonesia, especially in Bengkulu province, to do the program like you said before. Okay, so I think the time is very limited for us. So maybe in the second session, I would like to invite Professor Corazon Barba and Dr. Tony together with us. Good afternoon, maybe in Philippine. Professor Barba, can you hear me? Are you still in the Zoom? Could you open your video, please? Okay. Okay. Thank you, Professor Barba. And I think it's all of the international seminar Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu today. Because we can learn for the program from the Philippines and Malaysia itself. So what I want to summarize for today, the first 1,000 days of life is the key opportunity to prevent of stunting, promote child development and growth. However, provide nutrient-rich foods, ensuring good feeding and caregiving practice are critical to support healthy growth. And the last summary, we as a health worker, as a nutritionist, as a health worker, can contribute by educating people around us about the importance of nutrition for children, especially, and the health of pregnant women and reproductive health of adolescents. Okay, maybe thank you for all the keynote speakers today, and I really appreciate for for keynote speakers and all the participants in international seminar Poltergeist Commencement. This is the end, and as a moderator, I would like to say sorry if apologize to all of you if there is some mistake when I spoken. Thank you very much, and back to MC.
Thank you very much too. Congratulations, Sandy. Congratulations, Dr. Maigoda and your institution for the very good webinar today. I learned a lot from my colleagues and from the questions that were asked. Thank you.
Thank you. Just wait, Professor Corazon Barba, and thank you so much for Mr. Sandy for leading and making this seminar, this event interested. And words are powerless to express my gratitude to all the great speakers today. Thank you very much indeed. And all dear speakers, we are the committee, have a small gift to you, that is a certificate. And now is already joined in the Zoom, the director of Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu, Mrs. Eliana SKM MPH, that will give you the certificate. And the first is for Professor Corazon Barba. Silakan Ibu Eliana selaku Direktur Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu untuk memberikan sertifikat secara simbolis. Yes. This is the certificate, for Professor Corazon Barba.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your contribution to this seminar. We present this certificate as an award.
Terima kasih.
We present this certificate as an award for you as a speaker. Hopefully, we can continue our cooperation in the future. All the best and see you on the next occasion. Thank you so much.
Terima kasih and congratulations to your institution.
Nur Hasma Sulaiman, Dr. Yes, thank you. Yeah. Dr. Tony Cortis Maigoda and Lucy Andriana MKes, and moderator Sandy Ardiansa MS. Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you. Terima kasih banyak.
Thank you. Yeah.
We can collaborate
ya,
later,
terima kasih
insyaAllah.
Bu Nur Hasma.
Ya, sama. Boleh bekerja sama lagi selepas ni?
Boleh.
Yes. To our speakers and Bunda Eliana,
yeah.
Can we take a pictures together? Screenshot. Professor Corazon Barba, can you open the window of your Zoom, please? Yeah, we want to take a screenshot. Smile. 1, 2, 3. Say hi. Thank you. That was the certificate for all the speakers today. And to all audiences, I am surely hope that all of us in this virtual room will get the useful knowledge through this seminar. And the link of presence will be open until 1 p.m. in Indonesian time. So the last roses are red, violets are blue. I am sad it's already end, but it's such a nice to meet you. I am Suci Sartika Putri. Thank you so much for the attendance and attention. Have a good day. See you next time. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Give a big applause for us.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you very much indeed.
Okay, bye. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih semua udah live itu. Suci,
Belum,
terima
Bunda.
kasih semua panitia.
Terima kasih,
semua peserta
Bunda.
hari ini.
Terima kasih,
Alhamdulillah
Bun.
akhirnya berjalan sukses dan lancar kegiatan seminar
Terima kasih, Bunda.
internasionalnya ya. Terima kasih untuk panitia, terima kasih untuk para kajur, para panitia yang sudah mensupport sehingga kegiatan ini bisa berjalan dengan sukses dan lancar. Mohon maaf saya tidak bisa hadir langsung di kantor kita. Kebetulan ini pas untuk PUI juga nih, nanti ada contoh untuk yang di Denpasar juga luar biasa untuk PUI-nya. Nanti saya
Bunda.
bawa oleh-olehnya ya, Pak Andra
Siap,
ya.
Bun. Ya, Bunda.
Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Saya izin live ya.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ya.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Untuk peserta link absennya masih dibuka sampai pukul 1 waktu Indonesia Barat. Dan untuk sertifikatnya akan diunggah di website apa, Pak Andra, bisa tolong dibantu?
Ya, untuk sertifikat akan kita persiapkan 1 minggu dari sekarang, dapat diakses di websitenya Pusat Pengembangan Pendidikan Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu di pusbangdik polkeslu@ac.id dan websitenya PUIPK Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu yaitu puipk.polkeslu@det.ac.id. Nanti akan kita share di website, silakan diakses aja di websitenya Poltekkes Bengkulu, kemudian peserta bisa memilih di pusat atau di PUIPK, klik link tersebut dan akan diarahkan ke sertifikat. Peserta yang memperoleh sertifikat adalah yang mengisi daftar hadir yang disiapkan oleh panitia, ya, dan itu akan kita tutup pukul 1 nanti siang, dan bagi yang tidak mengisi daftar hadir, mohon maaf untuk sertifikat tidak dapat kami berikan. Terima kasih sekali lagi untuk partisipasinya bagi peserta yang bergabung di International Seminar Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu, dan sampai jumpa kembali di kegiatan berikutnya di Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu.
And all of you can rewatch the video on YouTube Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. You can leave the Zoom.
Ya, untuk panitia stay tune di Zoom sebentar, kita evaluasi. Ya, untuk panitia yang bergabung, panitia dan speaker dari Poltekkes Bengkulu untuk tetap menunggu dulu di Zoom karena kita akan evaluasi dan
ya itu bagus tuh.
Dan perencanaan kegiatan berikutnya.
Ya, ya.
Terima kasih.
Saya setuju.
Terima kasih Pak Tony.
Kita perbaiki apa-apa, mungkin ada yang sedikit keliru, sedikit apa ya. Kita jadi supaya track record kita naik terus.
Ya Pak Tony, terima kasih Pak. Ya, hitung orangnya. Hitung orangnya.
Tadi yang kurang tuh ada satu. Susi itu tidak dikasih kesempatan pada moderator. Dia kan tidak jawab pertanyaan. Tidak apa-apa. Nanti aku mau ngomong itu. Halo, Assalamualaikum. Ya. Iya, tidak apa-apa. Oh, gitu.
Politeknik Kesehatan Kementerian Kesehatan Bengkulu was established on April 16, 2001. Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu is ready to be an excellent health college that provides professional health workers and lead to global in 2025. Our alumni have worked domestic and abroad that spread in Japan for 63 people, Taiwan 20 people, Saudi Arabia 2 people, and Germany 1 person. Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu is one of the excellent state health colleges in Bengkulu province. The main campus is addressed at Jalan Indragiri, number 3, Padang Harapan, Kota Bengkulu. Meanwhile, Campus B Curug is addressed at Jalan Sabta Marga, number 95, Teladan Village, Rejang Lebong Regency. Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu is equipped with the complete and modern campus facilities to support the learning process, including the training center building has more than 2,000 meter square areas with a hall that provides 500 seats and a comfortable inn. Auditorium has more than 3,000 meter square areas that provides 1,500 people that used as a multi-purpose building for both internal and external activities of Poltek lecture buildings. Integrated laboratory consists of laboratory department of nursing, midwife, nutrition, health analyst with adequate campus equipment. Campus gazebo with 128 meter square areas used for student discussion place. Tarbiyati Siham Mosque has 457 meter square areas for 500 people with an open room. Unit of Language Development with Internet connection and 44 computers unit for computer-based tests and online TOEFL tests. A comfortable library with selfie corner and selayang anti-korupsi corner. Unit of Information Technology that provides computer-based tests with 145 computers unit. Home theater that is used for audiovisual learning activities to all departments. Currently, Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu has been accredited by